Chapter 2842. Yin Ruhan was powerful, but he was only a nascent soul cultivator. Over 100 nascent soul realm cultivators were enough to kill him. However, reality was the complete opposite of what he expected. The moment the battle began, Yin Ruhan threw out a stack of talismans. Yes, a whole stack. Moreover, each talisman was a variant talisman that was hard to find in Tianguang ruins. These talismans were defensive, offensive, controlling, and illusionary. But no matter which one it was, their effect was not to defeat the enemy, but to block. Yun Heng and his subordinates did not expect Yin Ruhan to use a talisman-style move. For a moment, they were flustered and exhausted. No one could free themselves. After Yin Ruhan threw out the talismans, he did not care anymore. He fully opened his domain, and the ice soul sword in his hand danced with cold frost. He used this time to attack Yun Heng wildly. In an instant, Green Feather Mountain was shrouded by icy sword chi. Yun Heng was a level 1 astral projection cultivator. Logically, he should not be weaker than Yin Ruhan. But in the blink of an eye, Yin Ruhan killed him until he screamed miserably. Yin Jifeng, no, Yin Ruhan. If you dare to kill me, the Yin family will not let you off. What are you pieces of trash doing? Hurry up and save me. But at this time, Yun Heng's subordinates were also suffering. Do you think these talismans are powerful? They cannot stop these nascent soul and astral projection cultivators. But the problem was that Yin Ruhan had too many talismans. After using up one side, he threw out another dozen. When the other side finally managed to block them, he threw out another handful. In an instant, these people's path was blocked once again. Yun Heng's subordinates felt that they could not fight this battle anymore. Have you ever seen anyone throw talismans in a fight? Moreover, every single talisman had a remarkable effect and was extremely valuable. If they had the money to buy so many expensive talismans, they could save it up to buy a 10th grade quasi-divine artifact. Splat! The long sword pierced through Yun Heng's chest, right in the heart. A bone-piercing chill quickly spread from his heart to his limbs and bones, to every inch of his meridians, flesh, and blood. Yun Heng lowered his head in a daze and stared in disbelief at the sword that had pierced through his chest. No, he was the future patriarch of the Yun family. How could he die here? Clearly the one who should have died was Yun Jifeng. He killed Yin Jifeng and kicked his corpse into the unclean abyss. From then on, all of Yun Jifeng's resources belonged to him. In the Yun family, he was doted on and was made the heir. In the Cleansing Joy Pavilion, he was skillful and at ease, using the name of the priest to cultivate a large number of his trusted subordinates. Yun Heng was supposed to be in high spirits, with lofty aspirations. How could he die here without a sound? Yin Ruhan looked coldly at Yun Heng's expression of despair, pain, and unwillingness, but it was slowly returning to a dead silence. Softly, as if muttering to himself, he said, Yin Jifeng, your great hatred has been avenged, your wish has been fulfilled. From now on, forget the past and reincarnate peacefully, right? The moment he said this, Yun Heng stopped breathing and closed his eyes completely. He did not know if it was an illusion, but Yin Ruhan felt as if his body had relaxed. The heavy pressure that had been wrapped around his soul slowly dissipated. The top of Green Feather Mountain sank into an eerie silence. When Yun Heng's subordinates came back to their senses, there was a complete uproar. Chapter 2843. You killed young Master Heng? Quick, send a signal to inform Master and Madam. Surround him, quickly surround him, don't let him escape. Yin Ruhan pulled out his longsword, quickly returned to Luo Yu's side, and carried him on his back. Young Master Jifeng, the old woman shouted almost instinctively. But after she said it, she suddenly realized something, and tears poured out of her eyes. Young Master Jifeng, is he really dead? Did Yin Heng really kill him? Yin Ruhan nodded. That day when I was at my wit's end, Yin Jifeng fell from the cliff. At that time, he was already dead. Only that trace of hatred and unwillingness lingered on the corpse. triggering the demonic energy in the unclean abyss and giving Yun Ruhan a chance to live. I saw with my own eyes that the person who kicked him down stood on the top of the cliff and laughed. But at that time, he didn't know Yun Jifeng and Yun Heng's identities. The old woman's tears fell like rain, and she clutched her chest, wanting to say something. Yun Heng's trusted subordinates had already broken free of the talismans, and all of them fiercely rushed over. Yun Ruhan no longer had any talismans. He didn't dare to delay any longer, and threw out the last random transportation formation disc and slowly disappeared in the light with Luo Yu. Not long after, Yin Zhaoxing, Xian Menglan, and Xian Yuan arrived. Seeing the dead Yun Heng, Yin Zhaoxing's face was so dark that it could drip water. What the hell is going on? Facing Yin Zhaoxing's rage, the Yin family cultivators all trembled. After a while, someone said shakily, It was young Master Jifeng who killed young Master Heng. No, I heard young Master Heng say that. That wasn't young Master Jifeng. Young Master Jifeng has been possessed. What? Hearing this answer, Yun Zhaoxing and the other two widened their eyes in shock. Possessed? How is this possible? Xian Menglan reacted and immediately cried. Jifeng, my son, I knew it. I knew my Jifeng wouldn't be so rebellious. Yun Zhaoxing's expression was ferocious, and his eyes were red. How dare you possess my son, Xiaoyao sect? Xiaoyao sect. I will exterminate their entire clan. Master, madam, that's not it. The old woman abruptly came to her senses. Ignoring the pain in her body, she rushed over and said, It was Yun Heng who killed young Master Jifeng. 12 years ago, Yun Heng killed young Master Jifeng. He admitted it himself. After saying that, the old woman repeated what had happened before. The more Yun Zhaoxing and Xian Menglan listened, the uglier their expressions became. Xian Menglan even cried, We groomed Yun Heng as our successor in vain. I didn't expect him to be so vicious and kill our only child. As she spoke, she took out a sword and stabbed Yun Heng's body a few times. Good. If he hadn't been killed today, I would have definitely made him die without a burial place. On the side, Yun Heng's trusted subordinates shrunk their necks, their faces full of fear, not daring to say a word. Xian Yuan walked over and patted Xian Menglan's shoulder. He said warmly, All right, even if this Yun Heng is extremely daring, his death can be considered as avenging Jifeng. The most important thing right now is to capture Yun Ruhan, who's possessed Jifeng's body. That's right. Yun Zhaoxing roared angrily, as if he wanted to vent all the anger and grievances he had accumulated today. Possession is a demonic Tao that the entire cultivation continent has banned. Chapter 2844. This Yun Ruhan carries the title of senior brother of the Xiaoyao sect, and the name, One Sword Mountain Sea, is known to the whole world. I didn't expect him to be a scum that everyone wants to punish. Xian Yuan squinted his eyes and said slowly, The Xiaoyao sect is full of filth. Yun Ruhan had already fallen into the demonic path after possessing Jifeng's body. And that fatally beautiful killing god, Jun Mayan, she stole my Mu Lu Pavilion's divine weapon, Cry of the Ninth Heaven's Cranes, and stole my Mu Lu Pavilion's inherited secret technique. She actually swindled people outside and slandered my Mu Lu Pavilion's reputation. This is really intolerable. What? Xian Menglan exclaimed. Jun Mayan stole the Cry of the Ninth Heaven's Crane and my Mu Lu Pavilion's inheritance. Not bad, Xian Yuan sneered. Otherwise, how do you think a mere 20-year-old girl like her would be able to make such a name for herself? One person massacring a city. Only Jun Mayan? Ha! That was a first-rate aristocratic family, Fusong City. She, a little girl, was slaughtered by a nobody from the Xiaoyao school. Do you believe that there is nothing fishy about this? Yun Zhaoxing gritted his teeth and said, Father-in-law, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten that the Xiaoyao school has always been ruthless. It was said that he had destroyed several families in the Qingyan Blue Realm. Later, he went to Fusong City and destroyed it. He went to the Lin family and caused the Lin family to fall apart. They were so ruthless and didn't leave any leeway when doing things. How is this the style of a righteous sect? This is clearly a demon. Only such a person would dare to possess my son, Ji-Feng. Xian Yuan smiled, and his voice was hoarse and bewitching. If we can destroy those demons, the Yin family will get the soul bead, and our Mulu pavilion will get the cry of the 9 heavens crane and the inheritance. Then, the northern land will be ours. Why should we worry that the world isn't ours? Yin Zhaoxing and Xian Minglan looked at each other and saw the burning greed in each other's eyes. Only the old woman on the side shed tears of disappointment as she listened to them discuss how to take the soul beads and inheritance for themselves. No one was sad for young Master Ji-Feng's death, except for her. Even the young master's biological parents had completely thrown him to the back of their minds, only coveting the benefits in front of them. On the other hand, it was Yun Ruhan who was known as a demon. It had been 12 years, and he still remembered to take revenge for young Master Ji-Feng. In order to fulfill the young master's last wish, he did not hesitate to risk his life. Could such a person really be a demon? Eldest senior brother, did you really possess someone else's body? Just like a few hours ago, Yun Ruhan carried Luo Yu through the forest. Hearing Luo Yu's question, his footsteps did not stop, but his back slightly stiffened. After a long time, he softly said, "Yes." "Shao Qi, are you afraid of me?" "How is this possible?" Luo Yu said without hesitation. "You are the big brother of the Xiao Yao sect. You were, you are, and you will be. Moreover, I believe that unless you have no other choice, eldest senior brother would absolutely not possess another's body." Yin Ruhan's footsteps slowed. After a long while, Luo Yu heard a low and hoarse voice, "Yes." Previously, Yin Ruhan lingered in Azure Feather Mountain and did not leave in order to lure out Yun Heng and take revenge for Yun Jifeng. Now that his wish had been fulfilled, he naturally did not delay any further. At this moment, his cultivation had not fully recovered, and he did not have any talismans or array discs on him. Moreover, he had to protect Luo Yu. If the Yin family caught up with him, it would be really troublesome. Not long after, the end of Azure Feather Mountain was in front of them. Chapter 2845. Yin Ruhan and Luo Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Leaving Green Feather Mountain was equivalent to leaving the Yun family's sphere of influence. However, right at this moment, an ear-piercing and strange laughter resounded in their ears. He, ha. Hearing this laughter, Luo Yu's scalp went numb. Yin Ruhan's pupils constricted as he turned to look around. Luo Yu happened to turn her head and saw his expression. She was stunned. He had never seen eldest senior brother show such an expression. Fear, shock, unease, anger, and despair. "Eldest senior brother, what's wrong?" He. The laughter continued, as if coming from all directions, inching closer and closer to them. Hearing this laughter, Luo Yu felt all the hair on his body stand on end. "Who's there? Hurry up and come out. Laugh your ass. If you're mentally ill, don't come out to harm others." Just as Luo Yu finished scolding, the strange laughter stopped. Then, it became even crazier. Ha! Little prince, dear little prince, after so many years, you're still so lively. I'm so happy. He. Do you know how many years I've been looking for you? 15 years, a whole 15 years. In order to wait for you, I've been wandering in this godforsaken place for as long as 15 years. But luckily, I've finally found you now. Luo Yu frowned and turned to Yun Ruhan. Little prince? Who is this person calling little prince? Is there something wrong with his brain? Luo Yu's voice stopped abruptly, because he realized that Yun Ruhan's face was pale and his body was trembling uncontrollably. Eldest senior brother, what's wrong? Yun Ruhan closed his eyes and put Luo Yu down from his back. He said in a low voice, "Come out. What's the point of hiding now that things have come to this?" Who are you? Who told you to speak to me like that? Just as he finished laughing, an attack with the weight of Mount Tai had arrived. Yun Ruhan was prepared and hurriedly raised his sword to block. However, when the two collided, a powerful burst of energy whistled out. Yin Ruhan spat out a mouthful of blood and took several steps back. Eldest brother, Luo Yu couldn't care less about the injury on her leg and rushed over to support him. Almost at the same time, two tall figures slowly appeared in front of them. No, rather than a human figure, it would be more accurate to call a monster. These two people were 2 meters tall. Their faces were ferocious and terrifying, and their eyes were bulging out. Luo Yu could tell at a glance that this was not a real person, but a puppet. However, this puppet was different from ordinary puppets. There was no need to mention how powerful they were. The most shocking thing was that the pair of protruding eyes could actually move around, until the two pairs of black eyes turned towards Luo Yu. As soon as their mouths opened and closed, the two puppets revealed a strange smile at the same time. Little Prince, we haven't seen each other for 15 years. Guaci greets you. Luo Yu was stunned and pointed at herself. Me? The little prince? What little prince? Idiot, you've got the wrong person, haven't you? Ha ha. Chapter 2846. 15 years have passed. Your appearance has changed, but I would never mistake the unique aura of the divine beast base on you. Luo Yu was shocked and subconsciously looked at Yun Ruhan. How did this person know that he had the divine beast base's soul orb? The two puppets swayed and slowly walked towards Luo Yu. Little Prince, I can't stay in this damn place any longer. Just go back with me obediently. The Imperial Tutor is waiting anxiously for you in the Imperial City. Luo Yu frowned. Go back where? Who is a Grand Tutor? Before he could finish, Yin Ruhan's expression suddenly changed. He suddenly pounced on Luo Yu and pressed him under his body. Boom! A huge wave of energy poured out from one of the puppets. Luo Yu felt the ground shake. The leaves above his head rustled down. What followed was a warm, bloody liquid, which instantly filled his neck and clothes. Luo Yu turned her head to look in a daze. Her eyes widened bit by bit as she glared at him. Eldest senior brother. Little Seven, don't be afraid. I'm fine. Yin Ruhan stood up and forced a smile. Do you think eldest senior brother will be defeated so easily? You're already so old, yet you're still crying? Luo Yu touched his face and realized it was wet and warm. He immediately felt embarrassed. He looked at the two puppets with an unfriendly gaze. Is there something wrong with your brain? Who's your little prince? Which corner of the world did a lunatic like you come from? The puppet opened its mouth, revealing bloody teeth and tongue. It seems that the little prince is not pretending to be stupid. He doesn't remember at all. This is normal. After all, 15 years ago, the little prince was still young. Even if he was possessed by the divine beast, he wouldn't have been able to take such a huge blow. Luo Yu frowned. He suddenly felt a wave of irritation. He had grown up in the Xiaoyao sect. How could he be a prince? But why did he have the divine beast base in his body? Why didn't eldest senior brother allow him to summon the divine beast base and show it to others? Be good, little prince. My patience has long been exhausted in the past 15 years. Now, obediently come back with me. I promise I will be very gentle. Otherwise, don't blame me for offending you and offending you, little prince. His voice hadn't even finished resounding through the air when the two puppets suddenly vanished on the spot. Little Seven, be careful. Yin Ruhan raised her sword to block, but she heard Luo Yu say loudly, Eldest senior brother, don't worry about me. The one on the left is yours, and the one on the right is mine. As he spoke, the spiritual energy in his body surged, and his fingers flicked in the air. In an instant, countless gravel and vegetation flew towards him. After a burst of light, the rubble and vegetation actually condensed into a 2-story tall humanoid figure. Puppets. This was a puppet formed in the blink of an eye. Luo Yu turned around and raised her chin at Yun Ruhan. Eldest senior brother, I'm also a member of the Unfettered Seven. Don't underestimate me. Her appearance was arrogant and cunning, indescribably lively and lively. Yun Ruhan was startled, and then her lips curled into a faint smile. His little seven had really grown up. Seeing the puppet that Luo Yu had formed in an instant, the two puppets opposite her stopped in their tracks. Two pairs of protruding eyes looked back and forth between Luo Yu and the puppets. Then they started giggling. Chapter 28:47. Puppet control with a flip of the hand. Summoning with a flip of the hand. Little Prince, you are indeed the only summoner to inherit the pure bloodline of the Beast King in 10,000 years. If you were given a little more time, even I would not be your match. What a pity you're still too young. As soon as he finished speaking, the two puppets slowly raised their hands and punched forward. This movement was extremely slow, as if it did not contain any spiritual power. But when the punch was thrown, it was as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. The huge puppet that Luo Yu had just formed was instantly turned to dust. The huge impact was not over yet. After destroying the puppet, it roared towards Luo Yu and Yun Ruhan like a tornado. Puffed. The two of them flew backwards and fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Luo Yu looked at the two puppets in shock. At this moment, he finally felt the crushing difference in strength. Both of these puppets were beyond the 5th stage of the Tribulation Realm, but he and Grand Senior Brother were only at the nascent soul stage. On the cultivation continent, the number of cultivators who could reach the Tribulation Passing stage could be counted on 10 fingers. A Tribulation Passing cultivator wanted to kill a nascent soul cultivator. It was as easy as killing an ant. He seemed to be very satisfied with the result he had caused. The two puppets grinned and let out strange laughter. Little Prince, don't be anxious. Let me take care of the irrelevant people first. Then I will bring you back to the floating island. The puppet on the left took a step towards Yun Ruhan, causing the ground to shake violently. Who dares to hurt Grand Senior Brother? Luo Yu roared. He could no longer care about his rationality, and the spiritual power in his body circulated wildly. The two soul orbs on his back, one red and one white, shone brightly. Between the heavens and the earth, a terrifying pressure spread out. But before the two soul orbs could float out of his body, the puppet on the right seemed to have predicted this and swung its hand. A black rope shot out and wrapped around Luo Yu like a venomous snake, binding him tightly. The light on his back flickered for a while before finally dissipating. Luo Yu's face instantly turned pale. He fell to the ground, his body twitching. Xiaoqi, how are you? Yin Ruhan rushed over to help Luo Yu up, but was pulled back by the puppet on the left. The heavy left foot clamped down on his throat, pinning him to the ground. TSK, Little Prince, even if you're still very weak, this subordinate is still a little afraid of the divine beast Bai Zhe. So, for the sake of safety, I can only use the soul restraining chain to make you obedient. The puppet on the right chuckled and walked towards Luo Yu, who was rolling on the ground. Previously, when Luo Yu was tortured by the Yun family, she didn't even make a sound. However, at this moment, he was rolling on the ground in pain. Even though he tried his best to endure it, he still couldn't help but let out a painful groan. His clothes were soaked with sweat. A pair of hands that had just regrown clawed at the ground. A moment later, they were covered in bloody scars. Seeing Luo Yu like this, the puppet's laughter became even more unbridled. Little Prince, stop struggling. This soul restraining chain was personally bestowed by the Imperial Preceptor for the purpose of sealing the soul orbs within you beast emperors. However, because the soul restraining chains are too powerful, there will be some pain during the sealing process. As the puppet spoke, it crouched down. Its cold, ashen hands grabbed Luo Yu's hair, revealing his face, which was already drenched in sweat and blood. Chapter 28:48. Tiske, who would have thought that the high and mighty little prince would be reduced to such a pitiful state? I wonder how heartbroken the former empress would be if she saw her only son like this. It's a pity that that woman died 15 years ago. Not even her ashes were left. Ha ha ha. The hand grabbing Luo Yu's hair tightened. The soul-arresting chains on Luo Yu's body tightened as well. The pain, which was already unbearable, instantly increased tenfold, 100-fold, on Luo Yu's body. Luo Yu couldn't take it anymore and let out a mournful wail. Ha ha! Keep screaming! Keep screaming! My honorable royal highness, when I see you in such a state, which is even worse than a dog, my heart is really... Boom! Before the perverted laughter and words could finish, the hand that had been grabbing Luo Yu's hair was suddenly sliced off at the elbow. The puppet's entire body was sent flying by the huge force, smashing through dozens of trees before landing on the ground. The puppet struggled to get up. Seeing the scene not far away, its bulging eyes trembled violently. His voice, which was still laughing in a perverted manner just a moment ago, instantly turned into a trembling voice filled with fear. Ghost, 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 Lan Luoan. How are you still alive? 12 years ago, didn't you perish together with Black Eagle? The torturous pain on his body seemed to lighten and fade away, becoming numb. Luo Yu struggled to lift his eyes. In a daze, he saw a figure that seemed both familiar and strange standing in front of him. It was a young man shrouded in inky black energy. Luo Yu couldn't see his face clearly. He only knew that this back that was guarding him, was very familiar. At the young man's feet lay the corpse of a puppet that had already been torn to pieces, and the lifeless Yun Ruhan. Eldest senior brother. Luo Yu was shocked, but the voice that came out of her mouth was so weak, so hoarse. Eldest senior brother. Eldest senior brother. Luo Yu shouted as he crawled towards Yun Ruhan's corpse. Tears blurred his eyes and mixed with sweat and blood, forming a sticky mess on his face. But Luo Yu couldn't care about anything else. All he knew was that his eldest senior brother, who had been protecting him, was dead. How could eldest brother die? Xiaoqi, don't be afraid. Just as Luo Yu's bloodied hand was about to touch the corpse, a low and hoarse voice rang in her ear. This wasn't Yun Ruhan's voice, but it had the same tone. Gentle, steady, tolerant, and doting. Xiaoqi, big brother is here. I won't let anyone hurt you. This voice was clearly unfamiliar and distant, but it made him feel so at ease. It was as if as long as this person was there, he would be safe, and he would never be alone. Luo Yu tried her best to blink, wanting to see the face in front of her clearly. However, her consciousness became more and more blurry. The man raised his hand lightly, and chi surged out, placing the unconscious Luo Yu onto Yun Ruhan's body so that he could sleep more comfortably. He then turned his attention to the remaining puppet. The hoarse voice was no longer as gentle and tolerant as before. What was left was an endless, bone-piercing chill. Chapter 2849. Gui Ci, it's been more than a decade, but your cowardly nature hasn't changed at all. Even though you know I'm dead, even though you've confirmed the location of the soul orb, you don't even have the courage to find it yourself. Do you really think I can't do anything to you just because you sent 2 puppets? Gui Ci's puppet trembled and staggered a step back, but it immediately stood still. He looked at the man in front of him. Under the scorching sun, even though the man was surrounded by a thick layer of black gas, he seemed to be transparent, as if he could be melted by the sun at any time. Gui Ci's gaze turned to Yun Ruhan's body. He suddenly opened his mouth and said in a sharp voice, "Possession. 12 years ago, you actually used the body possession technique to escape this calamity. Lan Luoan, don't you know that if the Lan clan is tainted by the evil Tao, they will be despised by the gods? Their bodies will rot before death, and they will never enter the cycle of reincarnation. So what?" Yun Ruhan said word by word. So what? A pair of bloodthirsty eyes stared at him from the lingering black fog. Even though it was only a puppet, it still made Gui Ci shiver. Lunatic, Lan Luohan, you really are a lunatic. Not only did you use the possession technique, but you also forcibly broke away from the fused body. Gui Ci's trembling voice paused and suddenly burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, I'm really stupid. Forcibly breaking away from the body is equivalent to entering death prematurely. The body has begun to rot, and the netherworld is beckoning to you. What awaits you is only the dissipation of your soul and eternal damnation. Ha! Facing a real dead person, what do I have to fear? The puppet swayed and rushed toward Yun Ran. What's more, this is only a puppet with my soul attached to it. You don't even have a body now. Do you really think you're still that demon who can kill gods and Buddhas? Boom! The puppet punched out, but its target was not the man shrouded in black fog, but Yin Ruhan's corpse on the ground. As long as the vessel shattered, no matter how powerful Lan Lohan's consciousness was, she would be instantly disintegrated by the heavenly Tao. However, this fist seemed to freeze in midair. A slender hand, shrouded in black energy, slowly pressed against the puppet's heart. He suddenly grabbed with his 5 fingers. Phantom Sting let out a shrill scream. The puppet was instantly torn apart and fell to the ground. Far away on the heavenly Phoenix mountain range, Phantom Sting spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. Yin Ruhan retracted her hand and kicked away the remains of the puppet. She walked towards the unconscious Luo Yu. He closed his eyes and tried his best to retract the black gas around him. Finally, it stopped in front of Yin Ruhan. I can't die yet. I can't let my soul dissipate yet. He whispered in a low and hoarse voice. I want to send Xiao Qi to junior sister's side. Yin Jifeng, I beg you. Lend me a little more time. I beg you. Suddenly, the swirling black energy surged toward Yun Ruhan's corpse. The two figures slowly fused together. Soon, Yin Ruhan opened her eyes again and revealed a grateful smile. Thank you, Yin Jifeng. However, at this moment, a cold and stern voice came from the sky. Chapter 2850. I will never allow a demon like you to stay by my side. Yin Ruhan's heart sank bit by bit. Ning Su, the young master suicide who hated demons the most. Ning Su. No matter what reason Yin Ruhan had, no matter if Yin Jifeng was already dead when he took over Yin Jifeng's body. Possession was a demonic path after all. Just look at how Ning Su refused to let little Uncle Master go because Qi Wen was a demonic beast. She knew that he would not let her go either. Right now, Yin Ruhan's soul had been damaged. He had just merged with Yin Jifeng's body. If he wanted to leave again, his soul would be destroyed. Against Ning Su, he had no chance of winning at all. Yin Ruhan lowered his head and looked at the bloodied and unconscious Luo Yu. His clenched fists slowly relaxed, and his lips curled into a relieved smile. I am indeed a demon who took over a body and was reborn. He looked up at Ning Su, who was slowly landing, his voice hoarse and calm. But Xiao Qi is not. He is a true spirit cultivator. He is innocent. You can kill me, but please send Xiao Qi back to little junior sister and let her save him. Ning Su said coldly. As long as you prove that he is not a demonic cultivator and will not protect a demon, I will naturally send him to Mayan for treatment. Yin Ruhan looked at Luo Yu one last time and reached out to brush the grass off his face. Xiao Qi, I am sorry. I can no longer protect you. He smiled faintly, then looked up and closed his eyes, calmly waiting for Ning Su to take his life. Buzz! The demon-slaying sword buzzed violently, suddenly unsheathing and attacking Yin Ruhan's heart. However, the expected pain did not come. Yin Ruhan was sent flying by the impact. He opened his eyes, only to find that Luo Yu had woken up and was blocking in front of him. She had used her bloodied hands to block Ning Su's demon-slaying sword. Of course, this was also because Ning Su had realized that Luo Yu was coming over, so he withdrew the spiritual energy on the demon-slaying sword. Otherwise, Luo Yu's hands would have been crippled. Young Master Destiny, what are you doing? Luo Yu couldn't be bothered to look at her hands that were throbbing in pain. She glared fiercely at Ning Su. Did my eldest senior brother offend you? You want to kill him? Ning Su gripped the demon-slaying sword that had flown back to him and said coldly, Everyone has the right to punish the heretical demons. From the moment he took over someone else's body, he should have known what would happen to him. Luo Yu laughed coldly. It's clear that the owner of this body died first, so my eldest senior brother borrowed it. In the face of life and death, there was no other choice, and he did not harm others to benefit himself. How could he be considered a demon? Young Master Jueming, don't tell me you've become obsessed with killing demons every day? Ning Su sneered. Possession is the path of devil cultivators. Whether or not they take someone's life, wrong is wrong, and the path of evil is the path of evil. I, Ning Su, have sworn to kill all the demons in the world. How can I allow him to escape from my hands today? Furthermore, such an evil demon is actually lurking by Mu Yan's side. Just what is his motive? At this point, Ning Su's eyes surged with a crazy, murderous intent. The veins on his forehead bulged, and his eyes were bloodshot. His entire face instantly became crazed and malevolent. I will never allow you to lead Mu Yan astray. I will never allow such a thing to happen again. Lan Liu, by shielding Yin Ruhan, are you going to wallow in the mire with this devil cultivator? Chapter 28:51. Very well. I will kill both of you with my demon-slaying sword today. Dark clouds billowed in the sky, and the mountains shook. The demon-slaying sword was unsheathed again. The sword split into 10 shadows, cold light filling the air. Each ray of light contained a bone-chilling, killing intent. Yin Ruhan's expression was cold. He could kill him, but if anyone wanted to touch Shao Qi, he would not allow it even if he died. Shao Qi, stand behind me. Luo Yu shook his head resolutely. Spiritual energy surged in his body, and the orb of souls behind him glowed. Yin Ruhan was shocked. Shao Qi, you are injured by the soul-restraining chains. You cannot use the orb of souls again. Luo Yu turned back, his pale, cracked lips curling into a smile. His smile was quick-witted and crafty, just like the junior brother who usually wanted to do bad things. Only his voice was hoarse and weak. First senior brother, you're always protecting me. This time, it's Shao Qi's turn to protect you, okay? Boom! 2 dazzling rays of light, one red and one white, shot into the sky. They transformed into Bai Zhe and Bai Fong in midair and soared between heaven and earth. The red Bai Fong was still fine, it was just faintly emitting a scorching heat. But the moment Bai Zhe appeared, the world seemed to be shrouded by a terrifying pressure. The spirit beasts of Green Feather Mountain, who had been agitated by the battle, fell silent and trembled. Ning Su looked up at Bai Zhe in the sky, even forgetting to control the demon-slaying sword. When he looked at Luo Yu again, there was only shock in his eyes. Bai Zhe, what is your relationship with the royal family of Floating Island? Sweat dripped from Luo Yu's forehead like rain. His consciousness, which had just cleared, faded bit by bit. He bit the tip of his tongue until a piercing pain came and the taste of rust filled his mouth and teeth. Only then did he manage to maintain his tottering body. Roar! An earth-shattering roar sounded. Bai Zhe slowly lowered its eyes, raised its front paw, and slammed it down at Ning Su. This movement could be said to be extremely slow, but Ning Su acted as if he was facing a great enemy. He immediately called back the demon-slaying sword and slashed in the air. Bang! With a crash, Ning Su was pushed back dozens of meters, his face pale. Bai Zhe did not move, its eyes cold. But Luo Yu, who was controlling it, spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing that its master was injured, the Bai Fong let out a crisp cry. Its entire body turned into flames as it pounced towards Ning Su. However, Ning Su did not take the Bai Fong seriously at all. With a casual swing of the demon-slaying sword, the Bai Fong let out a cry of agony and flew backward, dispersing into the air. Luo Yu spat out another mouthful of blood. Ning Su looked at him with a complicated expression, then glanced at Bai Zhe with fear. Rumor has it that the Lan royal family discovered the true bloodline inheritance of the beast monarch more than 10 years ago. They can control hundreds of beasts, control the world, build a floating island, build a stairway to heaven, and recreate the glory of 10,000 years ago. But no one mentioned this rumor after a few years, as if it had never happened. I also thought that it was just a rumor. But it turned out to be true. In today's cultivation continent, where immortal energy was depleted and only spiritual energy was left, with his extremely low nascent soul cultivation level, he actually managed to summon the true body of the divine beast, Zay. Who else but someone with a pure Beast King bloodline could achieve such an ability? Luo Yu only felt as if there was something boiling and burning inside him. His vision became blurrier, and Ning Su's voice became more and more distant. He almost could not see clearly. However, he stood straight, unwilling to take a single step back. Chapter 2852. He also ordered Zay to not let Yin Ruhan leave his side. He knew he had to protect his eldest senior brother. Ning Su said slowly, "The floating island survived because of the Beast King. You have the purest Beast King bloodline. I don't want to kill you. As long as you leave now, I won't hurt you. I'll take you to Mu Yin later. She'll have a way to save you." Luo Yu tried to speak. Eldest senior brother. Ning Su's face turned cold. "I once swore to kill all the demons in the world. Since he's tainted by the demonic Tao, he's destined to die by my demon-slaying sword. This has nothing to do with your Xiaoyao sect. After I end him, I won't cause trouble for you. Qi-Wen was just a demon. He couldn't kill her, so that was fine. But Yin Ruhan had been reborn by possession. She was a true demon. If I let him live today, how can I call it suicide? What right do I have to kill all the demons in the world in the future?" Yin Ruhan said anxiously, "Shao Qi, get out of the way." Luo Yu smiled. Her body swayed slightly, but her feet didn't move. "Then there's nothing more to say. If you want to kill my eldest senior brother, you'll have to do it over my dead body." Ning Su's eyes were murderous. "Lan Luoyu, how long do you think you can summon Zay with your nascent soul cultivation? Do you really think I don't dare to kill you?" Luo Yu gritted her teeth. Zay let out another roar and slammed its palm down on Ning Su. Ning Su's hands formed a seal in the air. The demon's slaying sword split into 10 swords in the air again, making a buzzing sound. "I set my life for the common people, set my heart for the heavens and earth, and slay all the demons in the world. I have no choice but to kill the descendant of the Beast King. Lan Luoyu, since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish." Boom! The 10 demon-slaying swords collided with Zay. Zay slapped down 3 demon-slaying swords. But when it tried to attack a second time, its figure became fainter and fainter. Zay glanced at Luo Yu and disappeared in the air unwillingly. The remaining 7 demon-slaying swords pounced at Luo Yu like snakes. Yin Ruhan pulled Luo Yu over and hugged him tightly in her arms. He used his back to catch the 7 demon-slaying swords. "Eldest brother." Luo Yu let out a shrill scream. She wanted to struggle, but her body had no strength at all. He could only watch as the first demon slayer sword pierced through Yin Ruhan's body. Hot blood gushed onto his neck for the second time, burning his eyes red. The second round. Just then, a sharp, ear-piercing sound of a zither whistled over from the distant horizon. The barrier formed by the notes of the zither enveloped Luo Yu and Yin Ruhan at the critical moment, blocking the second demon slayer sword. The third one. "Big Brother Ning, please show mercy." Mayan's urgent shout comes from afar. "Don't hurt my fellow apprentice." Hearing this familiar voice, Ning Su's mind was thrown into disarray. He lost control of the demon-slaying sword. It swayed in the air and slowly dissipated the shadow of the sword before returning to its sheath. Luo Yu raised her blood-stained eyes and looked at the figure flying towards her. She gave a relaxed smile. Little seven, eldest brother, how did you get injured like this?" Seeing the two covered in wounds, the eyes of the 5 turned red. There seemed to be a ringing in their ears, completely filled with anger. Even Chu Moli, who had always been cold and unfathomable, said word by word, "Little 7, speak, who hurt you?" Chapter 2853. The youngest disciple of the Xiao Yao sect who grew up with care and pampered him. How could he be hurt to such an extent? Luo Yu blinked her eyes. Tears mixed with blood rolled down her cheeks. However, the dimples on her cheeks appeared faintly. 6th senior sister, 2nd senior brother, 3rd senior brother, 4th senior sister, 5th senior brother, I knew you would come. Therefore, even in the most painful and difficult times, he had never despaired or given up. He won't let himself die, and he won't let his eldest brother die, because he knows that as long as he holds on, he will be able to. 6th sister and the others will definitely arrive, and they will pull them back from the gates of hell, because they are the Xiao Yao 7. They advance and retreat together, live and die together. None of them can be missing, right? Mayan calms down and goes forward to check on the two's injuries. Yin Ruhan says, look at Xiao Qi first. He takes a step back and gives Luo Yu to Mayan. He also hides his hand, which has begun to rot, into his sleeve. Mayan nods and grasps Luo Yu's wrist to feel her pulse. The more she checks, the more gloomy her face becomes. She takes out the Tian Mo Qin, sounds it, and activates the art of Qi Huang. Countless silver threads rush out from the Tian Mo Qin and enter Luo Yu's body. At the same time, the phantom is activated. A second Mayan appears, playing floating like a dream, making Luo Yu sink into a beautiful dream. This treatment lasts for half an hour. Mayan slowly opens her eyes and wipes the sweat from her forehead. How is Xiao Qi? Mayan slowly exhales. The heaven-eroding water has eroded his internal organs. Although I tried my best to clean and repair them, I couldn't avoid the excruciating pain. But the heaven-eroding water isn't the most troublesome. The most troublesome thing was that the soul orb in Luo Yu's body had been damaged by another sinister force, the soul restraining chains. Moreover, Luo Yu had overdrawn her spiritual power to activate her soul orb, causing her injuries to worsen. Yun Ruhan anxiously says, what about Xiao Qi in the future? Don't worry. Mayan smiles. I've already repaired his soul orb. I guarantee that it won't affect his future cultivation. However, the removal of the sky-eroding water would take more than a month. During this period of time, Xiao Qi would have to endure inhumane pain. I can't let him stay in the fleeting life like a dream all the time. It's not good for his divine soul. Pausing for a moment, Mu Yan's eyes are suffused with a cold, killing intent. In the end, who was it that used such a sinister method to torture Xiao Qi? Suddenly, she thought of something and looked at Ning Su suspiciously. Big brother Ning, if I'm not mistaken, you want to kill Xiao Qi and eldest senior brother? Could it be that Xiao Qi's injuries were caused by you? With that said, Lung Yuma and the others all stood beside Mu Yan, staring at Ning Su covetously. It was as if as long as he said yes, he would disregard the difference in strength and tear him into pieces. Ning Su shook his head. I don't want to kill Lan Luoyu. Mu Yan is slightly relieved. In reality, she did not believe that Ning Su was such a person. But his next words startled Mu Yan. The person I want to kill is Yun Ruhan. Mu Yan is startled, suspecting that she heard wrong. Big brother Ning, what did you say? Lung Yuma says angrily, is there something wrong with your brain? Last time, you wanted to kill my youngest martial uncle. This time, you point at my eldest senior brother and say that he is a demon. Do you fucking accuse people of being demons every time you catch them on the street? Chapter 2854. Ning Su's expression was cold as he stared at Mu Yan. You also think that I'm a vile person who can't tell right from wrong? Mu Yan said coldly. I don't believe that brother Ning is a vile person, but I don't believe that my eldest senior brother is a demon. Ning Su sneered. You can ask him whether he is or not. Yin Rahan took one last look at the unconscious Luo Yu, then slowly stood up and walked over to Ning Su. I'll go with you. Kill me or torture me as you wish. But this has nothing to do with anyone else in the Xiaoyao sect. Eldest senior brother? Yin Ruhan turned around and looked at the 5 people who were looking at him anxiously. His lips curled up into a peaceful and relieved smile. I'm sorry that I lied to you. I wasn't a good person in the past, and this body isn't mine. I took over Yun Jifeng's body, and that's why I'm still alive. I don't deserve to be a member of the Xiaoyao sect, and I don't deserve to be your eldest senior brother. Now, it's time for me to pay the price for what I've done in the past." With that, Yin Ruhan turned around and walked over to Ning Su without hesitation, ready to be executed. Ning Su is used to seeing all kinds of demons. Some were guilty, some were remorseful, some begged for mercy, some were stubborn, and some gave up resisting. But no matter what, demons were demons, and they were people he had to kill. He could no longer feel any sympathy or pity for them. Buzz dash! The demon's slaying sword kept vibrating, as if it was about to leave its sheath. However, the next moment, a sharp sound of a zither rang out, immediately suppressing the demon-slaying sword. Mu Yin said with a sullen face, "We haven't made things clear yet, but eldest senior brother, you look like you're going to the execution ground with your last words. That's not very good, is it? Do you think we'll listen to you and let you be killed?" "That's right," Lung Yuma said anxiously. "What possession? What Yin Jifeng? What's going on? You've been the Xiaoyao sect for so many years, and you've never harmed anyone. How are you a demon?" Chu Moli lightly tapped the armrest of his wheelchair. There was a gentle and faint smile on his face. However, this smile did not reach his eyes. Young Noble Destiny is really interesting. There are millions and millions of evil spirits in the world, but young Noble Ning seems to be targeting our carefree sect. Last time, for the sake of a magical beast that didn't kill a single person, you shouted at my young martial uncle to kill him. Of course, in the end, your skills were inferior and you could only retreat with your tail between your legs. Now, he wants to get back at us, so he's targeting our eldest senior brother again? Chu Moli was usually a quiet and low-key person. However, in the entire Xiaoyao sect, he was the most cunning one. Normally, it was fine if he didn't speak, but once he did, his venomous tongue was like a knife that could stab people's hearts. Sure enough, Ning Su's face turned green and black, and the anger in his eyes almost spewed out. Yin Ruhan frowned and stepped forward to speak. Chu Moli smiled lightly. "However, since young Master Ning has accused our eldest senior brother of being a demon, we naturally have to hear the charges. Do mortals need witnesses and material evidence to judge mortals? Young Master Ning wouldn't be planning to kill him without a charge, right?" Yin Ruhan opened her mouth. "Eldest senior brother, just shut your mouth for now." Chu Moli smiled and looked coldly at Yin Ruhan. "We don't want to hear your own statement right now. We only want to hear young Master Ning's side of the story." Mu Yin also nodded. "Big brother Ning, you should also know that I won't agree to killing eldest senior brother for no reason." Chapter 2855. You said that eldest senior brother took over someone else's body. What's going on? Hearing Mayan's question, Ning Su suppresses the anger provoked by Chu Moli and coldly tells her about how Yin Ruhan took over Yun Jifeng's body 12 years ago. Mayan frowns. "I don't believe that eldest senior brother would deliberately harm a person's life. Could it be that when eldest senior brother took over Yun Jifeng's body, Yun Jifeng was already dead? So what?" Ning Su's face darkens. Possession and rebirth is an evil path. Whether it's a living person or a dead person, it's forbidden by the cultivation world. Mayan, have you ever thought that if the 3 realms and the 6 realms all thought that possession of the dead was a matter of course, what kind of discussion would there be in the world? How would moral ethics be corrupted? How would people's selfishness and greed be tempted and magnified? Yin Ruhan shows a bitter smile and lowers her eyes. In fact, Ning Su's words are right. There's a reason why the cultivation world forbids possession and rebirth. Because once this gap is torn open, there will be countless cultivators who will do heartless things because of their own selfish desires. This is also the reason why Yin Ruhan never thought of arguing after Ning Su appeared. "You don't have to say anymore." Yin Ruhan says hoarsely, "This is a sin I created. I should bear the consequences. Take Xiao Qi and leave." Most importantly, Yin Ruhan moves her fingers, and her fingertips can already touch the rotting livor mortis spreading on her wrist. Most importantly, It's already impossible for him to live. Why would she implicate her fellow disciples? Eldest senior brother, what kind of joke is this? Lung Yuma anxiously says, even if you took over in rebirth, you didn't hurt anyone. Why can't you live? Ling Yuxing resolutely says, we won't go. The Xiao Yao 7 will advance and retreat together. If possession and rebirth is a crime, then the 7 of us will bear it together. Qin Jiu's face turns red from anxiety, but she can only spit out a few words. Eldest senior brother is not an evil spirit. Mayan suddenly says, Big brother Ning, you said that eldest senior brother taking over in rebirth is wrong. But what if the owner of this body, Yin Jifeng, is willing? After saying that, without waiting for everyone to react, she spins around and sits on the ground. The Tian Mo Qin appears, and her fingers quickly pluck the strings. The sound of the zither, which sounded like flowing water, rang out, and the benevolence of the saint was activated. Gradually, wisps of misty white light appeared around Yun Ruhan. Faintly, a voice rang out from the white ball of light. It's not possession. It's not possession. I called him over and over again, begged him to avenge me. That's why he was summoned to my side. Yun Ruhan, I'm very grateful to you. Thank you for saving my mother. And thank you for killing Yin Heng for me. I, Yin Jifeng, have never blamed you for taking over my body. You are not a demon, but my salvation. Yun Ruhan's eyes widened as she listened to the voice that seemed to be near yet far. Her vision gradually blurred. At this moment, the shackles that had been cast in his heart slowly crumbled. Lung Yuma was so happy that she cried. I knew Big Senior Brother was not a demon, hey? Ningsu, did you hear that? Even Yin Jifeng himself said that my eldest senior brother didn't seize possession, but his salvation. The sound of Mayan's zither still rang out, and a gentle and holy energy flowed little by little from the Tian Mo Qin into the ball of light that belonged to Yun Jifeng's divine soul. Yun Jifeng, since you've already been redeemed, then go and reincarnate. Don't continue to waste your divine soul in this mortal world. Chapter 2856. The ball of light gently swayed in Mu Yan's direction, and a low, thank you, echoed between heaven and earth. Then, the ball of light slowly dissipated. Mu Yan put away the Tian Mo Qin and looked at Ning Su. Brother Ning, can you answer what I just said? If it was Yun Jifeng's own, well, that my senior brother took over Yun Jifeng's body, then is he still considered to have been reincarnated? Ning Su said coldly, there's no difference. As soon as these words came out, even though Mu Yan had always been grateful and had a good impression of Ning Su, it completely dissipated in an instant. Ning Su said word by word, a demon is a demon, whether intentional or not. As long as one steps onto this evil path, they will be abandoned by the heavens, and they will also bring destruction to the people around them. As long as it's a demon, I will kill it. Mu Yan said coldly, if I was the one who became a demon, would Brother Ning also kill me? Ning Su was clearly stunned, then shook his head heavily. You won't, he said through gritted teeth. You definitely won't be a demonic cultivator, and I will never allow that kind of thing to happen again. That might not be true. Mu Yan thought to herself. If she had nothing to do with demons, how could she have walked out of the uncleansed abyss unscathed? But she didn't talk about this. Instead, she walked forward and pulled Yun Ruhan back to stand in front of him. Just pretend that I won't become a demon, but what if I insist on not letting Brother Ning touch my senior brother? Her eyes stared straight into Ning Su's. Those peach blossom eyes that were extremely similar to hers. Brother Ning wants to be my enemy? My entire Xiaoyao school's enemy? Qin Jiu, Chu Moli, Lung Yuma, and Ling Yuxing walked over one by one and stood by Mu Yan's side. They didn't speak, but their expressions and actions made it clear. They would never allow anyone to hurt their senior brother. Ning Su took a step back and pressed his right hand on the hilt of the demon-slaying sword, holding it tightly. Blue veins popped out on the back of his hand and forehead. Ning Su's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Mu Yan. Why? Why do you protect him even though you know he's a demon? Mu Yin said coldly, You forced the demon on my senior brother. We won't admit it. I only know that if anyone wants to kill my eldest senior brother, they'll have to do it over my dead body. Again and again, again and again. Ning Su's eyes turned redder and redder. His body trembled slightly as if he was trying to control the emotions in his body. Why did you betray me time and time again and choose this demon? All right, good. If you want to risk your lives to protect him, then I'll fulfill your wish. Ning Su roared, and the demon slayer was unsheathed. Jumayan, you forced me to do this. I'd rather kill you with my own hands than let you follow in her footsteps and mix with the evil spirit. A terrifying pressure poured out, as if it was going to cause the world to collapse and the mountains and rivers to change color. The faces of the people of the Xiao Yao sect turned pale. Their blood was boiling, and they almost spat out blood. They had already witnessed Ning Su's terrifying strength outside Fusong City. But at that time, they weren't the target. At this moment, they finally realized how terrifying this man's strength was. All of you retreat and protect Xiao Qi and eldest senior brother. Mu Yin soared into the sky, and the sound of the zither resounded. Her figure instantly split into two. One was playing the Tian Mo Qin, and the other had taken out talisman. This talisman was drawn for her by Di Ming Ju with great effort. Chapter 2857. As long as he used up all his spiritual power to make one strike, he could defeat any tribulation-passing cultivator. Yes, anyone, whether the tribulation-passing cultivator was first stage, ninth stage, or peak stage. They could all be defeated with one move from this talisman. She knew that Ning Su's cultivation was far beyond the tribulation-passing stage. He wasn't even from this Xiojin continent. The six of them were no match for Ning Su. However, even if Ning Su's cultivation was higher than the tribulation-passing stage, as long as he was on this Xiojin continent, his strength would be suppressed to the pseudo-immortal realm. This was the rule of heaven. Except for Di Ming Ju, who had cultivated divine power, no one could go against it. As long as he was still in the pseudo-immortal realm, her talisman could still fight. The spiritual power in Mu Yan's body surged wildly into the talisman in her hand. Soon, even the doppelganger created by the heavy phantom also surged into the talisman. Whoosh! A dazzling light exploded in the sky. The talisman burned completely and transformed into a huge sword. With the pressure of Mount Tai, it chopped down towards Ning Su. Ning Su didn't expect that Mu Yin would have such a trump card. Caught off guard, he only had time to pull out the demon-slaying sword to block. Crack! A sharp pain came from his arm. Ning Su could feel that the hand holding the demon-slaying sword was breaking inch by inch. His expression changed, and he couldn't hold back anymore. The immortal energy in his body surged, and he resisted the pain to resist the crushing of the huge sword. This crushing lasted for more than a minute. Ning Su felt that the immortal energy in his dantian had been consumed by 70 to 80%, and the energy in the talisman was gradually used up. Only then did the overwhelming attack and pressure slowly dissipate. The demon-slaying sword in Ning Su's hand fell to the ground, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked up, but there was no one in the sky or the opposite side. The moment Mu Yin activated the talisman, the people of the Xiaoyao sect had already made their preparations. Qin Jiu took Chu Moli. Leng Yima took Xiao Qi. Ling Yuxing carried Mu Yin on his back and dragged Yun Ruhen away as fast as lightning. Ning Su resisted the piercing pain in his arm and dantian. He used his immortal energy again to repair his arm that had been smashed into pieces. His originally limp arm, which had been crushed into powder, actually grew back. If others were to see this scene, they would definitely be indescribably shocked. Ning Su was not a doctor, but he could actually reconstruct flesh and bones. After a full 2 hours, Ning Su's arm finally regrown. However, the celestial force in his dantian was completely depleted. Unless he returned to the floating island to replenish it, he wouldn't even be able to reach 50% of his strength. However, Ning Su had no desire to go back. He looked in the direction that Mu Yin and the others had left in. His expression was calm, but his eyes were burning with a bone-chilling flame. Demons must be killed. I'd rather kill wrongly than let them go. Jun Mayan, why would you betray me like her? Why do you want to protect demons? You forced me to do this. Xiaoxin Continent, Netherworld region. Yin Xiao, quickly look at your brother. The Netherworld Holy Spirit. The Netherworld Holy Spirit was fine before. How did it become like this? Fu Yushu's eyes were red from crying. She dragged Luo Yunxiao to the bed. A half-naked young man was lying on the bed. It was Luo Yunxiao's younger brother, Yin Yuani. Compared to a few months ago, he was high-spirited and full of energy. At this time, Yin Yuani was really a bit miserable. Chapter 2858. The rune of the Netherworld's sacred fire on Yin Yuani's back was originally cut out from Luo Yunxiao's body. When it was displayed in front of the believers of the Nether Realm, the pattern of the resurrection lily was still bright and dazzling. But now it had become a mass of darkness, and its original appearance couldn't be seen at all. The most terrible thing was that this mass of darkness wasn't smooth. Instead, it was made up of countless small black spots. If one looked closely, they would find that these black spots were actually small holes. When Yin Yuani's body moved up and down, pus and maggots would gush out of the holes. Seeing this scene, even Luo Yunxiao couldn't help showing a look of astonishment. She clearly remembered that when the Netherworld's sacred fire was transferred to Yin Yuani, it was perfectly integrated. After that, in several battles, Yin Yuani did show strength several times stronger than before. That proved that the power of the Netherworld's sacred fire was absorbed by him. However, in just a few short months, he had become so miserable. Chi-Wan, who was in the pet bag, couldn't help laughing. Damn it! How did Yin Yuani become like this? Ha ha ha, he deserves it. Who asked him to steal the Netherworld sacred fire? Who asked him to control the Netherworld sacred fire? Now he's suffering. Fu Yushu grasped Luo Yunxiao's hand tightly. Her well-manicured nails almost pierced into his flesh, but he didn't notice it at all. Her voice was full of pleading and sobbing. There was no problem before, but a few days ago, it suddenly broke out. Yin Xiao, is your only brother. You must help him. Yin Yuani, who was lying on the bed, heard the noise and slowly opened his eyes. When he saw Luo Yunxiao, his pupils suddenly shrank, and his eyes burst out with intense jealousy. Luo Yunxiao, is it you? Did you do something to the Netherworld sacred fire and cause me to become like this? Fu Yushu hurriedly said, how can you say that? Yunxiao is your brother. How could he hurt you? Mother, don't you know that he has always hated me? Yin Yuani gritted his teeth. He hates that I am favored by you and father, and that I will become the lord of the Nether Realm in the future. He has been waiting for me to die. Otherwise, it wouldn't have nearly killed me back then. It hurts. Yin Yuani was so agitated that the wound on his back was pulled open, and he let out a scream. Fu Yushu's heart ached so much that tears streamed down her cheeks. Right at this moment, the door was pushed open, and Yin Wuji quickly walked in with two people in tow. On the left was an old man with a long beard and long eyebrows. His hair was slightly white. This person was called Jiang Chunwei, and he was the chief doctor of the Nether Domain. As for the person on the right, he was tall and thin like a bamboo pole. His appearance could be considered handsome, but he always gave off a feminine feeling. He was wearing a colorful robe with strange totems on it. As he walked, the colorful runes on his robe also trembled. If one looked closely, they would feel dizzy. This was the first time Luo Yunxiao had seen this man in the Nether Realm. He couldn't help but take a few more glances. Coincidentally, the man also looked over. The corners of his mouth slowly curled up, revealing a deep and treacherous smile. Father! Seeing Yin Wuji come in, Yin Yuani immediately shouted, "Get this demonic creature out! I don't want to see him. If he hadn't harmed me, how could I have fallen to this state?" Yin Wuji looked coldly at Luo Yunxiao. Chapter 2859. In this gaze, there is not the slightest bit of fatherly love for his son, only bone-piercing disgust and hatred. But when he turned to Enyuani, his expression instantly softened. Don't be naughty. Father summoned him back in order to completely heal your injuries. Let Dr. Jiang take a look at your illness first. Hearing this, Jiang Chunwei saluted Wuji and Fu Yushu before walking to Enyuani's side to examine him. As time passed, Jiang Chunwei's brows furrowed more and more tightly. Fu Yushu could not hold it in any longer and asked anxiously, "Dr. Jiang, how is it?" Jiang Chunwei didn't answer Fu Yushu. Instead, he turned to Luo Yunxiao and asked, "Young Master Xiao, can you let this old man take a look at your back?" Luo Yunxiao frowned slightly. However, before he could answer, Wuji had already swiftly attacked. A sword chi shot towards Luo Yunxiao's back. His frail clothes were instantly torn apart by the sword chi, revealing a large patch of white skin and a perfectly chiseled back. When the female cultivators serving Enyuani in the hall saw this, they all blushed and turned their heads away. However, he couldn't help but sneak a peek. Although the first prince was not favored by the domain master and did not even have the right to be addressed as prince or young master, the first prince was not the domain master's favorite. But compared to the second prince, that fairy-like appearance and demeanor were like comparing the bright moon to a firefly. They couldn't be compared at all. However, apart from maids, everyone else's attention was attracted by the totem on Luo Yunxiao's back. It was a mass of blood-red patterns. They were like spider lilies blooming on the banks of the river of forgetfulness, or like blazing flames. The sword chi that Wuji released just now had scratched the skin on his back. A few beads of blood slid down her jade-white back, sliding across the blood-red totem, drawing out a beautiful and enchanting line. Fu Yushu covered her mouth and shouted in a trembling voice, "How could this be? How is this possible? Hadn't the netherworld sacred fire been transferred to Eir? Why did I return to?" Enyuani suddenly propped himself up from the bed. His eyes were spitting fire as he stared at Luo Yunxiao's back and screamed, "No, this is impossible. The netherworld sacred flame is mine. Why did it return to Luo Yunxiao? I don't believe it. I don't believe it." Enyuani was so excited that he rolled off the bed and screamed in pain. Eir, how are you?" Enyuani grabbed Fu Yushu and Wuji's hands and roared in pain, "Father, Mother, the netherworld holy flame is mine. It belongs to me. Why was it taken back by that monster, that bastard? It must be him. It must be Luo Yunxiao who plotted against me, just like that time. Father, kill him for me. Help me take back the netherworld sacred flame." Wuji injected his spiritual power into Enyuani's body, alleviating his pain. Then, he comforted him softly, "Don't worry. I promise that the netherworld sacred fire will be yours." After gently carrying Enyuani to the bed, Wuji stood up and looked at Luo Yunxiao sharply. "What do you have to say for yourself?" Luo Yunxiao calmly took out another set of clothes to change into before looking at Wuji. "I have nothing to say." Enwu was furious. Is your biological brother. Isn't it enough for you to harm him once? Do you want to harm him a second time? Luo Yunxiao's expression remained the same in the face of Wuji's biased attitude. Chi Wan, who was in the spirit pet pouch, was furious. "What did you do to him?" Chapter 2860. They were the ones who forcibly took the netherworld sacred fire from you. What does that have to do with you? Now that the netherworld sacred fire is in trouble, it's all your fault. Why? You're both their sons. Why are you treated differently? Luo Yunxiao gently pressed her hand on the spiritual beast bag to prevent Qi Wen from rushing out. She couldn't help but curl her lips into a self-deprecating smile. Treated differently? He was already used to it. Luo Yunxiao said, "I didn't take the netherworld sacred fire, nor did I make it merge with Enyuani. How I know why it's back to me?" Wuji sneered. "That better be the case. If I find out that you deliberately harmed your brother, don't blame me for being rude." Dr. Jiang. He turned to Jiang Chunwei. How can your illness be cured? Jiang Chunwei stole a glance at Luo Yunxiao. He hesitated for a moment before saying softly, the only way is to transfer the sacred fire again. Are you kidding me? Qi Wen was furious. Do they know the pain of having your flesh, spirit stripped from your body bit by bit? Do they know how you walked through hell back then, Master? They actually wanted to take the sacred fire from you again. Bastards! 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 Master, let me out. I'm going to bite them to death. I'm going to send this bunch of trash to hell. Luo Yunxiao's expression was calm. There was a faint mocking smile on her lips, as if she had already guessed this ending. In Wuji said resolutely and decisively, then let's move again. How could this be? Fu Yushu's tears streamed down her cheeks. She said in a trembling voice, if I transfer it again, won't Xiao suffer another heart-wrenching pain? In Wuji said, do you want to see Er die? Xiao, her mother, poor Xiao. Fu Yushu grabbed Luo Yunxiao's hand and cried, I don't want you to suffer, but your brother is in danger. Hundreds of years ago, you almost killed him once. Just take it as you owe him for all this. Xiao, you don't want to see your brother die, do you? In Wuji laughed coldly. Hundreds of years ago, he didn't just want to kill He clearly wanted to kill both of us as well. At that time, this nether domain, this world will all be his. Luo Yunxiao, I can tell you something. Today, you will have to move the netherworld's sacred flame, even if you don't want to. Luo Yunxiao closed her eyes and said nothing. A hesitant look appeared on Jiang Chun's face, and she couldn't help but say, but even if we transfer it again, I'm afraid it won't be able to cure the root of the problem. Perhaps the netherworld's sacred flame had already recognized young Master Xiao as its master in the river of forgetfulness. That was why it suffered a backlash when it was not a host. I'm afraid. He didn't finish his sentence, but his meaning was very clear. In Yuani's face turned pale at the thought that he would have to endure such pain again. He grabbed In Wuji and Fu Yushu's clothes and screamed, Father, Mother, save me. The netherworld's sacred flame is mine. It cannot be transferred. I will never bear such humiliation and pain again. In Wuji fiercely flicked his sleeves and turned to look at the feminine man in a colorful robe. Priest Lian, didn't you say that as long as I obtain the sacred flame, our nether domain would be in control of the world? How did it become like this? Chapter 2861. The long-robed man smiled and said, Don't worry, Region Lord. The fate of the heavenly Tao, Kuan Xian, can Li, and Li all change with time and the flow of the situation. The last time I divined for Region Lord was decades ago. It's possible that there's been a change now. I'll do another divination for Region Lord to see who or what has caused His Highness Yuani's glorious fate to deviate. In Yuni said anxiously, You quickly. The long-robed man nodded and turned to Luo Yunxiao. The smile on his face became more and more treacherous. I am Mu Luyan. Greetings, young Master Xiao. I heard that in ancient times, there was an immortal man who accumulated stones like jade and arranged pine trees like jade. His beauty was unparalleled in the world. I thought it was too exaggerated, but after seeing young Master Xiao in person, I realized that there really was such a peerless man in the world. No wonder even the demon Lord Jun Shirtian looked at you in a different light. It's a pity. Mu Luyan didn't finish his words. He just shook his head slightly, seeming regretful and admiring. In Yuni gritted his teeth, and his eyes were full of jealousy and hatred. Luo Yunxiao frowned. Looking at this strange priest, she felt a strong sense of alarm and unease. After saying this, Mu Luyan took out a strange compass and sat down cross-legged. As he infused it with immortal power, the compass lit up with rays of light. A total of 49 rays of light interweaved in midair to form numerous complicated talisman markings. Mu Luyan's eyes stared fixedly at the seal inscriptions. He did not even blink, as if he was afraid that he would miss out on some important information. 2 whole hours passed. In Yuani, lying on the couch, couldn't bear the pain from his back. He let out a low moan and muttered, "Is it done? Quickly take the nether sacred fire for me. Hurry." Ugh. At this time, Mu Luyun slowly opened his eyes. His left hand waved in the air, and the runes formed by the compass and the 49 rays of light disappeared. In Wuji hurriedly asked, "Priest Luyun, what's the result of the divination?" At this moment, he was not only concerned about his son's safety, but the future of the nether region. Mu Luyun stared blankly at Luo Yunxiao and then slowly withdrew his gaze at In Wuji's urging. After a long while, he seemed to regain his senses and muttered, "How could this be? So it's like this? How could the fate of the heavenly Tao change so suddenly?" Mu Luyun. In Wuji was enraged. He waved his hand fiercely, and a gust of wind pushed Mu Luyun back a few steps. "Domain Lord, please calm down." He hurriedly bowed, raised his head, and said word by word, "The devil returns to the cleansing region, a pearl in the vast sea. The phoenix soars in the 9 heavens. The 3 realms return to its heart. When the divine master ascends, where will he look at the 9 prefectures?" In Wuji was startled. "What do you mean? Region Lord, if my divination skills have not deteriorated, and if the results of the divination are correct, the situation in the world has changed completely." Mu Yuyun's voice slightly trembles. It's hard to tell if he's excited or nervous. In the future, the power of the 3 realms will be divided. The fate of the rise and fall will no longer be you and the young master, nor will it be the polar domain's Deming Ju. Instead, it's that princess of the demon clan that hasn't been found yet. "What?" Luo Yunxiao suddenly raised her head, her gaze firmly fixed on Mu Luyun. In Yuani said loudly, "Mu Luyun, what do you mean by this?" Chapter 2862. Genius? 1 second, remember, In Yuani shouts, "Mu Luyun, what do you mean by that?" The demon returns to the pure domain, a pearl lost in the vast sea. The phoenix soars in the 9th heaven, the heart of the 3 realms. Aren't these words referring to the demon race's lost princess? Mu Luyun chuckles. Moreover, the bright future should belong to His Highness Yuani. But suddenly, the sacred fire of the netherworld has been transferred to Shao Gongzi. Have you ever thought about the reason for this? In Yuani's pupils suddenly contract, almost gnashing his teeth as he roars. Because of the engagement. Because of his engagement with the demon race's princess. "Father, mother, hurry. Let Luo Yunxiao break off the engagement, and let me marry the demon race's princess. In this way, I can become the real netherworld Saint Emperor." Shoshin Continent, Polar Domain. The sun is scorching. The blue sky is as if it has been washed. In front of the imperial palace, Han Yi and the men of the Yenyu tribe are discussing something, occasionally bursting into laughter. On the other side, Ing Mei and the members of the Xian tribe have a completely different style from them. Most of them are silent. Some are wiping the weapons in their hands. Some are looking at the distant scenery. But when the people of the Yenyu tribe are talking and laughing, they will also tilt their ears to listen, occasionally revealing a faint smile on their faces. Just like Ing Mei, whose hand is touched by Han Yi from time to time, brushing his presence. The 2 sides are clearly divided, yet indescribably harmonious. Just then, 2 figures come flying from the horizon, landing in front of the imperial palace in just a moment. The people of the Yenyu tribe and the Xian tribe quickly bow and kneel. "Greetings to Jun Shang. Greetings to Elder Chang." Deming Ju waves his hand, letting them get up. Han Yi stands up and says with a smile, "Jun Shang, did you go to visit the Little Master? How is the Little Master's progress now?" Elder Chang strokes his beard, his face full of gratification. The little Gongzi has passed the 6th trial and is now attacking the 7th. TSK. Even though I have seen so many geniuses in the polar domain, none of them can be compared with the little Gongzi's talent. No wonder Jun Shang resolutely decided to make the little Gongzi the little master of the polar domain. As for the fact that the young master was not of Jun Shang's bloodline, Elder Chong did not care much about this matter. He had never married in his life, but he treated Jun Shang as his own son, little Gio as his own younger brother, and the polar domain as his own home. He had never felt lonely. Similarly, as long as Jun Shang is happy, and as long as it doesn't harm the polar domain, what does it matter what kind of woman he marries, or who he chooses as the successor of the polar domain? Hearing Elder Chang's praise, Han Yi laughs mischievously, looking as if he's honored. That's right, don't you know whose son the little master is? Ingmei bumps into Han Yi, but Han Yi doesn't feel anything at all. He's still completely oblivious to his own boasting. Elder Chong, you haven't seen Miss Jun's abnormal advancement speed. Her child, even if his biological father's bloodline is a bit weaker, it still can't completely cover up the little master's astonishing talent. Ingmei, why are you stepping on me? Elder Chong sneaks a glance at Di Mingju, lighting a candle for Han Yi in his heart. Cough, cough. Han Yi, what were you guys laughing at just now? Han Yi uses an aggrieved and resentful gaze to look at Ingmei for a long time. Only then does he turn his head and say, reporting to Elder Chong, we were talking about In Yuan Yi, the young master of the Netherworld domain who just received the sacred flame of the Netherworld. What happened to him? What sacred flame of the Netherworld? I think it's better to call it the joke of the Netherworld. 10_10033/ Chapter 2863. Genius? 1 second, remember. Han Yi rejoiced in other people's misfortune. It said that some time ago, there was also a crack in the enchantment of the Netherworld domain, and the poltergeist ghosts invaded. Moreover, there were quite a few of them. The Netherworld domain lost a lot of elite soldiers and good generals, but they weren't able to completely eliminate the poltergeist ghosts. Therefore, he invited In Yuan over, hoping to burn the poltergeist ghosts with the Netherworld's sacred fire. The holy Netherworld fire was a powerful holy fire produced by the dark holy flame in the river of forgetfulness with the body that contained the spirit of the Netherworld. Only those who had inherited the most powerful inheritance of the holy Netherworld Emperor could master this power. The poltergeist ghosts were difficult to slaughter, but if he used the Netherworld's sacred flame, it would be a piece of cake to annihilate them. Unexpectedly, In Yuan not only failed to kill all the poltergeist ghosts in one fell swoop, but the Netherworld holy fire he released actually backfired on him. Puff! The people of our Falling Moon tribe didn't even need to sneak over to investigate, and they could already hear him screaming like a pig being slaughtered. At this point, the people of the Falling Moon tribe couldn't help but laugh. Although this matter happened in the Nether region, the commotion it caused was too great. Currently, the entire cultivation world is in an uproar. Ha! Now I want to see where the Nether Realm and In Wuji will put their old faces. Elder Chong couldn't help but laugh when he heard this. The Nether Realm used to dominate the entire Xioshin continent, but now it's getting more and more out of hand. When In Wuji suffers from the Deva's 5 decrepit phenomena, if In Yuan, that idiot, succeeds to the throne, I'm afraid that will be the day when the Netherworld completely declines. On the other hand, their polar domain's ruler was in the prime of his life. He was only 1,000 years old, yet he had already become the one and only immortal emperor in the cultivation world. Little Master is so talented and smart. Her future is limitless. TSK. They can't be compared. They couldn't be compared. Di Mingju's eyes flash. He thought of Luo Yunxiao, who possessed the power of the underworld. The only son that In Wuji had announced to the public was In Yuan. However, the power of the Nether Holy Flame could only be possessed by the direct descendants of the Nether Holy Emperor. Who was Luo Yunxiao? Who was the young lord of the Nether Realm who had a marriage alliance with the demon race? A faint thought flits through Di Mingju's mind. That day, Mayan said that she saw the master of the Tianguang ruins in the dreamy cloud swampland and triggered the 3 lives united heart seal. On the surface, the heavenly light ruins belonged to the Nether domain. But in reality, There were complicated relationships involved. Just as Diming-ju is about to ponder, suddenly, boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Everyone present stood up abruptly, leaped into the air, and looked in the direction of the voice. In the southern sky, a flame soared into the sky, dyeing half the sky red. The ground trembled like a mournful wail. The immortal chi and spiritual chi that permeated the cultivation continent tumbled violently, as if they were swept by a hurricane. What is this? Hanye's voice trembles a bit. Diming-ju slowly says, Netherworld Sacred Fire. 3rd rank Netherworld Sacred Fire. Tier 3? You mean that idiot In Yuani has advanced? Han Yi is puzzled. But the 3rd stage sounds pretty low, doesn't it? Pretty low. Elder Chong looks at Han Yi like he's looking at an idiot. Do you know what rank the Netherworld Holy Emperor's Netherworld Sacred Fire was when he ruled the 3 realms 10,000 years ago? What rank? Tier 5. Elder Chong lowly replies, Do you know what kind of heaven-defying strength a Tier 5 Netherworld Sacred Fire is equivalent to? That's the peak of the Immortal Emperor, just one step away from the Hongmeng Great Path. 10_10033/ Chapter 2864. Genius? 1 second. Remember, the 4th rank Netherworld Sacred Flame is equivalent to an Immortal Emperor, the same rank as Jun Shang. In the current Xioshin continent, there is no such thing. Do you still think that the 3rd rank Netherworld Sacred Flame is very low? Han Yi gapes, his eyes filled with horror. He doesn't come back to his senses for a long time. Even Ingmei shows a look of surprise. That In Yuan, he really has this kind of strength? Diming-ju sneers. Not necessarily. Han Yi, Jun Shang, what do you mean? Diming-ju faintly glances at him, about to answer. Suddenly, the void spirit ring on his hand faintly flashes. Diming-ju's eyes narrow, and the air around him becomes a bit colder. Jun Shang, what's wrong? Ingmei asks with concern. Is something the matter with Miss Jun? She sees the faintly flashing void spirit ring on Diming-ju's hand. There's not much worry on Diming-ju's face, but his voice is a bit chilly. Mayan used the talisman that I left for her. This means that a crossing tribulation stage cultivator wants to make a move against Mayan. Moreover, the talisman didn't lose a part of its energy, but directly dissipated. That means that the strength of the opponent that Mayan encountered is at least at the peak of crossing tribulation stage. Diming-ju says coldly, I'm going to the Xioshin continent. Elder Chong, Han Yi, and the others have no objections and promptly bow. Jun Shang, rest assured, we will certainly look after the affairs of the polar domain and wait for your return. Although there's someone in the Netherworld realm who has successfully cultivated the 3rd rank Netherworld Sacred Flame, it's precisely because they just advanced that the Sacred Flame is unstable. For the time being, they wouldn't dare to act blindly without thinking. Diming-ju nods and is about to head towards the Qinquan Mirror side chamber. Suddenly, a ray of light comes from the horizon, as fast as lightning. Report. Jun Shang, it's not good. There are many cracks in the northern boundary. Diming-ju pauses, looking at the person in astonishment. Speak clearly. Before the messenger could get close, people from the east, south, and west rushed over like lightning. Jun Shang, the eastern boundary is broken. Jun Shang, there are cracks in the southern boundary. My lord, an immortal dressed in the ghost murder tribe's clothing falls to his knees in front of Diming-ju with a thud, his voice trembling. Jun Shang, it's not good. A spatial crack has appeared at the entrance to the small world where the little master is. Starved ghosts are pouring out, blocking the entrance to the small world. Young master is in danger. Diming-ju's pupils suddenly contract. Almost at the same time, the nameless barrier that surrounded the entire Xioshin continent seemed to have been torn apart by something, and cracks of various sizes appeared on it. Some of the cracks were empty, with only the primal chaos baleful chi that could be repaired in time. Behind some cracks were countless ferocious poltergeist ghosts that fought to charge out. The cultivation continent was in danger. Cultivation continent, snow spirit forest. Mu Yin wakes up from her deep sleep, only feeling that her hands and feet are sore and weak. Junior sister, you're awake? Mayan stretches her waist and slowly absorbs the spiritual power of heaven and earth. Spiritual power runs in her dry dantian, which makes her feel much more comfortable. Junior sister, what do you think? Mu Yin slowly exhales and says with a smile, the taste of exhausting spiritual power is really too unpleasant. The moment the talisman was completely activated, Mu Yin really felt as if the spiritual power in her dantian was being swept up by a whirlpool, whistling out. That kind of feeling was like her entire body was being hollowed out in an instant. She doesn't want to experience it a second time. Next time, she must have Di Mingju improve the talisman. Sixth sister, 10_1033/. Chapter 2865. Genius? 1 second, remember, hearing the familiar voice. Mayan turned around and saw Luo Yu's pale face right in front of her. Little 7, you're awake? Luo Yu nodded, her eyes slightly red. Stop. Mayan raises her hand to interrupt him. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just that my spiritual power has been exhausted. That's all. Wait for me to absorb a little spiritual power of heaven and earth, and I can use the echo breath to recover in less than half an hour. Don't say anything else. It's all your fault. Luo Yu was embarrassed. The other members of the Xiao Yao sect laughed out loud. All right. Yin Ruhan interrupted them, teasing Luo Yu. The Yin family and Cleansing Joy Pavilion will definitely not let this matter rest. Once Junior sister recovers her spiritual energy, we'll leave the northern continent. The 6 of them nodded simultaneously. Half an hour later, Mu Yin regains her full strength. The 7 of them quickly arrived at the edge of the snow demon forest. Mu Yin takes out the Tian Mo Chin and plucks the strings, activating the star curtain. This time, Mu Yin rips open the myriad wavy great arrays barrier with familiarity, and doesn't take much time. A door of light quickly appeared in the empty void. Qin Jiu, Chu Moli, Lung Yuma, Ling Yuxing, Mu Yin, and Luo Yu walked out one after another. Luo Yu stretched. We're finally out of this damn place. Suddenly, he turned around and realized something was wrong. Eldest senior brother? Where's eldest senior brother? The door of light that Mu Yin has torn out hasn't dissipated yet, but it's getting smaller bit by bit. The 6 of them stood outside the barrier, but Yin Ruhan stayed in the barrier, looking at them with a smile. Eldest senior brother. Luo Yu pounced over, wanted to pull him out. What are you doing there? Come out. Yin Ruhan's gaze was fixed on Luo Yu, her eyes filled with gentleness, reluctance, and determination. Little 7, in the future, you have to listen to senior sister and senior brother. What the hell is this? Lung Yuma said anxiously. Eldest senior brother, come out quickly. The passage is about to close. Yin Ruhan shook her head. I can't get out. What do you mean? Mayan said anxiously. Is eldest brother worried about the god-punishing wizard on Yin Jifeng? Don't worry, I can solve it. Yin Ruhan shook her head again. Little junior sister, I'll leave little 7 to you in the future. Promise me, no matter what, don't let anyone hurt him, and don't let anyone take him away. Luo Yu didn't care about anything else and dashed towards the light door. Eldest senior brother, if you don't leave, I won't leave either. That's right. Why are you leaving? We, the Xiao Yao 7, will advance and retreat together. If we leave together. If we stay together. Eldest senior brother, you still have things to do here. We'll risk our lives to accompany you. However, just as they rushed to the light door, they were met with a wave of sword chi. Luo Yu staggered a step back and only managed to steady herself with Ling Yuxing's support. Because of this delay, the door of light had completely closed, and Yin Ruhan's figure had disappeared. Yin Ruhan turned around with her sword in hand and gazed into the distant horizon. There, a vast army of cultivators was surging toward them like a dense black cloud, accompanied by the ethereal performance of snow and ice solitude. Wherever the sound of the zither went, the great array of 10,000 tortures flashed. Yin Ruhan looked down at the livor mortis that had already spread to the back of her hand. She smiled and soared into the sky. Outside the barrier. Sixth senior sister, how is it? The barrier still can't be opened? Mayan's face was cold as she looked at the great array of 10,000 tortures flickering with lines that were 10,000 times more complicated than before. She closed her eyes and suppressed the burning anxiety in her heart. When she opened them again, there's only a disdainful sneer left on her face. You want to block me with a mere great array of 10,000 tortures? Since I can't break it, then I'll thoroughly destroy you. 10_10033/ Chapter 2866. Yin Ruhan, you evil demon. Give me back my life. Xian Minglan's face was full of hatred as she stabbed her sword at Yin Ruhan. Yin Ruhan dodged and raised her sword to block. Xian Minglan's cultivation was at the 5th level of astral projection. She didn't care about a nascent soul cultivator like Yin Ruhan at all. However, when the two swords collided, Xian Minglan felt as if she had punched an iron plate. Her whole body flew back dozens of meters because of the reaction force. Yin Zhaoxing caught Xian Minglan and was about to help, but Xian Yuan stopped him. Xian Yuan asked, Yin Ruhan, where are Lan Liu and Jun Mayan? Yin Ruhan replied, they've already left the northern continent. That's impossible, Yi Yun exclaimed and looked at Yuan Lan beside her. The barrier was sealed. How could they escape from the northern continent? Yin Ruhan curled her lips and sneered. There's no place in this world that the Xiaoyao sect can't escape from. Little junior sister managed to break the 10,000-year prison in Fusong City. What was the great array of 10,000 tortures in the northern continent? Xian Yuan's face darkened. Do you think that they can sleep peacefully after escaping from the great array of 10,000 tortures? You stole my Cleansing Lu Pavilion's ultimate technique, snatched my Cleansing Lu Pavilion's divine artifact, ruined my Cleansing Lu Pavilion's reputation, and now even killed my only grandson. I want everyone in the Xiaoyao sect to pay a painful price for this. Holy Maiden, please extract this evil demon's soul from Ji Feng's body. I want to let this Yin Ruhan have a taste of her soul being destroyed. Yuan Lan frowned, and her eyes flashed with reluctance. Snow Solitude had a very special ability, which was that it could communicate with a person's soul. When used for treatment, it could calm the soul, expand the divine sense, and expel the inner demons. When it was used to attack, it could pull a person's soul out of their body. This move was called Soul-Sucking Heavenly Note Song. The torture of the soul and the body being separated was 100 times more painful than being skinned. Yuan Lan would not use the soul-sucking Heavenly Note Song, unless it was to deal with the most vicious people. The Xiaoyao 7 had only become famous in the cultivation continent in the past 2 years. After becoming hostile with Mu Yin, Jin Lan had also carefully investigated their background. He discovered that although the 7 of them behaved recklessly, they had never committed any atrocities. The massacre of Fusong City sounded shocking, but after knowing what Fusong City had done, even Yulan wanted to send them to the 18th level of hell. Yin Ruhan, the one-sword mountain and sea, was considered the kindest and most righteous among the 7 carefree warriors. Was he really going to use the soul-stealing Heaven Sound Song on him? Holy Maiden, this wretched devil. It's this wretched devil that possessed my son's body. You must make him suffer retribution. Xian Minglan's cries woke Hong Lan up abruptly. That's right. Yin Ruhan possessed Yin Jifeng's body. This kind of evil and crooked path should be punished by everyone. How could he be soft-hearted? Hong Lan calmed herself down and waved her hand to summon the Snow Solitude. Yin Ruhan, the soul-sucking Heavenly Note Song, is not something that ordinary people can endure. I advise you to kill yourself now. Holy Maiden, Xian Yuan said anxiously. How can we let him die so easily? We still want to capture his 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls to force the Xiao Yao school to submit to us. Your mother wanted to take back the cry of the ninth heaven crane even before she died. Don't you want it?" Hearing Xian Yuan's words, Yin Ruhan, who had been calm before, turned around and rushed into the depths of the forest. Chapter 2867. "Oh no, he's trying to escape." Xian Yuan sneered. The sky labyrinth bell flew out of his Qinkuan sleeve and quickly grew to the size of a palace. "Trying to escape? Do you think you can't?" As soon as he finished speaking, Xian Yuan sent out a wave of energy that landed on the sky labyrinth bell. In an instant, the sound of the bell rang through the sky. In the previous battle, Xian Yuan had been using the first and second row of bells on the sky labyrinth bell. This time, it was the middle bell of the third row that shot out. With the dong-dong sound of the bell and drum, the powerful pressure that belonged to a tribulation cultivator enveloped Yun Ruhan. He tried to use his spiritual energy to resist. Suddenly, his dantian turned cold, and the spiritual energy in his meridians seemed to be frozen, unable to circulate. Yin Ruhan's heart sank. He knew that this body's compatibility with his soul was weakening, and he was gradually turning into a corpse. His zombified body could not absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, nor could he circulate it. Bang! At this moment, the bells that Xian Yuan had sent out hit Yin Ruhan's back. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he was hit hard on the ground. "Holy Lady!" Xian Yuan roared. Without hesitation, Hong Lan's fingers moved on the harp and played a beautiful melody. Even though Yin Ruhan had tasted all the pain in the world, he was still tormented by the pain that felt like thousands of ants were biting at his heart. "Good, very good." Xian Menglan gritted her teeth. "I want her to suffer so much that she wants to die to repay my son's life." The injured old woman saw Yun Ruhan rolling on the ground and immediately knelt on the ground. As she crawled forward, she cried, "Don't hurt young Master Ji Feng. Please don't hurt young Master Ji Feng." "Idiot! Look carefully. This is a demon that has taken over young Master's body." The old woman seemed to have just come back to her senses and remembered that the young Master she missed so dearly was already dead. But looking at the suffering Yun Ruhan, she still couldn't stop crying. She crawled to Xian Menglan's side, hugged her leg, and cried, "Madam, it's still young Master Ji Feng. Not Yin Ruhan, but Yin Heng. I heard it. I heard young Master Ji Feng say in my ear, he thanked Yin Ruhan for avenging him. Really, I heard it. I know that was young Master Ji Feng's voice." Scram! Xian Menglan fiercely pushed him away. "Are you possessed? You actually want to protect this demon?" "No, I'm not. Shut up. If you dare say another word, I'll kill you." Yin Zhaoxing didn't look at the old woman again. Instead, he looked at Yin Ruhan and quietly said, "This demon truly deserves to die. But the Xiaoyao sect hasn't surrendered yet. We must take this demon's soul. Only then will we be able to make Jun Mayan submit." The Heavenly Note soul-sucking curse is vicious, but aren't the fiends who invaded the northern continent and killed my son Ji Feng? We're using the Heavenly Note soul-sucking curse to subdue them at the lowest cost and return peace to the northern continent. Kill the demon. Return peace to the northern continent. How can just killing the demon be enough? We must make them suffer and consign them to eternal damnation. The old woman listened to everyone's fanatical roars, then looked at Yin Ruhan, who was curled up into a ball, gritting her teeth and not making a sound. Turbid tears rolled down her cheeks. These people all said that Yin Ruhan was a demon. But in the end, who was the truly cruel and vicious demon? Chapter 2868. The soul capture succeeded. It succeeded. Seeing the faint blue light emitting from Boland's ice and snow solitude, Yishuang shouted excitedly, "Ha! As long as this demon's soul is captured in the ice and snow solitude, it will be at the mercy of my Mu Le Pavilion like a dog." Xian Yuan clenched his Qinkuan sleeve, his eyes shining with greed. "Thinker, Handwritten version, however, at this time, boom! A huge explosion resounded in everyone's ears. The ground shook violently, and countless cracks appeared under everyone's feet. Bolon jerked her head up, her eyes fixed on the sky, revealing a horrified expression. Streaks of golden patterns intertwined in the void, forming a repeating pattern. This was the foundation of the 10,000 torrent formation that had protected the northern continent and Mu Lu Pavilion for thousands of years. But at this moment, these golden lines were collapsing and dissipating little by little. This meant that the 10,000 torrent formation was being destroyed. That's right, it wasn't deciphered, but completely destroyed. Connected to the 10,000 torrent formation, Bolon suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest. Saintus? Saintus, what's wrong? What the hell happened? Bolon couldn't bear it anymore and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her eyes were red as she looked at the void and roared. Jumayan, how dare you? How dare you destroy my Mu Lu Pavilion's 10,000 torrent formation? You dare to hurt my eldest senior. So what if I destroy your 10,000 torrent formation? The voice came from afar, whistling over. In a flash, 5 figures had landed by Yun Ruhan's side. Eldest senior. Luo Yu hugged the tormented Yun Ruhan, tears welling up in her eyes. Eldest senior, how are you? Can't you respond to me? Eldest senior, these bastards, how dare they torture eldest senior like this? Hot tears fell on Yun Ruhan's face, washing away the blood on his face. Yun Ruhan slowly opened his eyes and saw Luo Yu hugging him, crying. He struggled to open his mouth. Xiao Qi, don't cry, big brother, it's okay, doesn't hurt at all. The candy Xiao Qi gave big brother was very sweet after eating it. Doesn't hurt at all. His mind was already a little fuzzy, as if he didn't know what day it was. He stretched out his blood-stained hand and slowly touched Luo Yu's face, as if he wanted to wipe away his tears. However, his hand was so weak that it drooped down after raising it halfway. Luo Yu hurriedly reached out to grab Yun Ruhan's hand. Unexpectedly, a hand suddenly reached out and grabbed Yun Ruhan's wrist. Muyan abruptly pulled Yun Ruhan's hand over. Looking at the rotting livor mortis spreading on the back of his hand, she was horrified. Eldest senior brother, what is this? As she spoke, she yanked up Yun Ruhan's sleeves. The livor mortis spots on his arms grew larger and larger, each showing signs of decay. Muyan tore off his clothes again. When she saw the big rotten wound on his heart, her hands trembled and she almost couldn't stand steadily. Junior sister, what's wrong? What's on eldest brother's body? Muyan's complexion is deathly pale. The hand that is holding Yun Ruhan's pulse is trembling nonstop. No matter how hard she tries, she can't find the position of the pulse. 6 senior sister, don't scare me. What's wrong with eldest senior? Muyan closed her eyes and was about to speak. Chapter 2869. Xian Yuan took out the Heaven Confusion Bell, and Yun Zhaoxing took out the 8-edged mace, blocking the retreat of the 7 people. Yuan Shilan also wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She played the solitary snow and led the people of Cleansing Joy Pavilion to float in the air, to prevent Mu Yin and the others from using their flying swords to escape. Mu Yin tightly clenches her fists, suppressing the fear and panic in her heart, and stands up. Junior sister, Mayan says in a hoarse voice, let's get out of here first. I must treat big brother right away. Moreover, there were 3 crossing tribulation stage cultivators present, Xian Yuan, Yun Zhaoxing, and Bailan. There were countless leaving aperture stage cultivators. Yun Ruhan and Luo Yu were both injured, and Mu Yin had just expended most of her spiritual qi to break the great array of 10,000 waves. No matter what, she would not be a match for these people. Mu Yin looked at Ling Yuxing and said, in the direction of the unclean abyss. Ling Yuxing carries Yun Ruhan on his back and nods towards Mayan. Go! As soon as he finished speaking, the 6 of them leaped into the sky. The Red Lotus soul-stealing blade, the Baifeng divine beast, the black gold hammer, the 7 absolute swords, all attacked in one direction at the same time. The people of the Cleansing Joy Pavilion let out a miserable shriek and moved aside, immediately opening up a path. Not good. They wanted to escape. Stop them. With Ling Yuxing in the lead, the six figures flew towards the north of Phantom Snow Forest at lightning speed. Xian Yuan's heaven disorientating bell and Yun Zhaoxing's eight-edged sword were both trying to block it. However, Ling Yuxing's movements were too fast. Before the two divine artifacts could even display their strength, he was already within reach. Absolute Space Domain was activated. Space fell into stillness without any trace of movement. Even the two divine artifacts stopped in midair. This stillness was extremely short, not even a breath's worth of time. But this one breath was enough for Mu Yin and the others to break free from the encirclement and leave. However, just as Ling Yuxing rushed out of the attack of the heaven-confusing bell and the eight-edged mace, suddenly a cold light whizzed over. He had just used the strongest skill of the absolute space field, and the spiritual energy in his body was only enough to carry Yun Ruhan and escape. At this moment, facing the attack, he actually had no way to block it. Fortunately, Lung Yuma arrived in time. The Red Lotus Soul stealing blade slashed down from the sky and blocked the attack. Xian Yuan raised his head and saw the scene in the sky. He was overjoyed. "Master Ning, are you here to help me?" In the air, there were a dozen leaving aperture cultivators and a tribulation passing cultivator hovering on their flying swords. The leader was a middle-aged man. He had a handsome face and an elegant demeanor. Only his eyes were curved upwards. His eyes were like peach blossoms, but they were more feminine, making him look mean and sinister. This person was the head of the Ning family, Ning Jinxiu. On the left side of Ning Jinxiu stood an old man at the crossing tribulation stage, while on the right side stood an elegant scholar. At this time, his line of sight falls on Mayan, revealing a shallow smile. "Miss June, you didn't expect that we would meet again, did you?" Mu Yin narrows her eyes and slowly spits out three words. When Qingyuan laughed heartily, feeling proud of himself. "Miss June, are you surprised to see me here? I'm sure Miss must be feeling extremely regretful right now." "No, I don't regret it at all." Mu Yin shook her head, and the corners of her mouth slowly spread into a sinister and cold smile. "From the moment I let you go, I've been waiting for this moment. I thought that I wouldn't be able to wait until I left the northern continent. Fortunately, you finally still sent the person I wanted to the door." Chapter 2870. When Qingyuan stares blankly. "You, what do you mean by that?" Mu Yan's gaze turns to Ning Jinxiu, and she smiles. "Patriarch Ning, I originally wanted to torture you with a few questions. But now that time is tight. I'll have to trouble you to come with me." Ning Jinxiu raises his eyebrows, his eyes brimming with interest. "Gorgeous killing god, Zhu Muyin, is it? Hee, interesting. I haven't met such a bold and tasty woman for a long time. I'd like to see how you're going to make this lord follow you." He hasn't finished his words. The Tian Mo Qin in Mu Yan's hands suddenly sounds. Dark Night Cage activates. Lotus Blooming Steps activates. Ning Jinxiu's voice stops abruptly, because at this moment his eyes can't see and his voice can't be heard. His whole person seems to be trapped in a dark cage, unable to move and completely isolated from the outside world. Ning Jinxiu's face finally shows panic. "What's going on? Elder Qin, quickly get me out." However, what awaits him isn't the reappearance of light. Instead, his body is suddenly tied up by a very fine iron wire, and he's fiercely pulled into the air. When he falls again, Ning Jinxiu hears a woman's sweet voice in his ears. "Patriarch Ning wants to see how to come with me. Look, isn't it obvious? Bold witch, let go of my Ning family's lord." The crossing tribulation stage cultivator who was standing next to Ning Jinxiu just now also reacts very quickly. Almost at the same time that Mu Yin grabs him, he's already rising into the air. His hands slightly open, and sharp iron claws appear on his fingers, ruthlessly grabbing towards Mu Yin and the others. The The surrounding spiritual energy surges wildly, and the cold wind whistles. Poochie. The iron claws penetrate the fragile flesh and blood, and there's a pungent smell. Elder Chin shows a sinister smile, but it doesn't last for a breath before it stiffens on his face. How could this be? His iron claws really penetrate a person's chest, directly crushing the heart. But this person isn't Jun Muyin at all, but Wen Qingyuan, who's wide-eyed in horror. Wen Qingyuan turns his head with difficulty, turning his gradually blurring line of sight towards Muyin. His lips tremble, wanting to speak, but he can only make clicking sounds. Why? How? How could this be? Mayan sneers. Wen Qingyuan, you know very well what shady business you did back then, and what you're plotting now. Do you really think that I will let you off so easily? Ever since she met Wen Qingyuan again in the Wild Cloud Bazaar, Muyin had never thought of letting go of this ungrateful bastard who betrayed his parents and schemed against her. After she had used Wen Qingyuan to locate Liu in Yunruhan, she had indeed let him go. But when Wen Qingyuan was not paying attention, she had already placed a goo worm in his body. This kind of goo was born from the golden silkworm goo, and was similar to the one that Muyin put into Chun Xiuxiu's body in the Blue Cloud world. But because of the upgrade of the summer bug's language of ice, it had become even more terrifying. Now, after the golden silkworm goo entered the cultivator's body, it could slowly erode the cultivator's nerves. Unless the cultivator's cultivation and divine sense are higher than Mayans, the summer bug's language of ice only needs to be played by the Tian Emochin. Muyin can control this person's behavior in an instant. That was why when Qingyuan had spontaneously stood in front of Elder Qin and had his heart crushed. While Muyin was talking, the people of the Xiaoyao school had already risen into the air. Chapter 2871. When Elder Qin and Xian Yuan behind him reacted and wanted to chase after them, the figures of the 7 people, together with the kidnapped Ning Jinxiu, had disappeared into the sky. Master, damned demon, quickly put down our patriarch. Go after them. Don't let them enter the unclean abyss. Bang! Muyin throws the already unconscious Ning Jinxiu on the ground. She turned her head and said hurriedly, "Help eldest brother here, quick!" The unclean abyss was full of rotten smell and living corpses. But there was one place that was cleaned by the villagers of Yuanwu village. Especially the stone that Muyin had lied on, it was polished and shiny. It didn't look like a scene that would appear in the unclean abyss. At this time, Yunruhan was lying flat on the stone. Muyin clasped his wrist and carefully felt his pulse. The other people of the Xiaoyao sect stood half a meter away, not daring to disturb Muyin's diagnosis. But the anxiety in his heart was burning, and he couldn't even conceal it. Yunruhan slowly opened his eyes and struggled with his right hand. "Junior sister, don't waste your energy. I borrowed a life from God when I was reborn. Now, I force my soul out of my body, which is equal to giving back my life in Yin Jifeng's body." He turned his head and looked at Muyin with blurred eyes, and then at Luo Yu and the others who couldn't be seen clearly. "Junior sister is so smart. You must have seen it in the snow forest. Yin Jifeng died 12 years ago. I relied on the remaining life force in his corpse to drag out an ignoble existence until now. Now this vitality has dissipated. Yin Jifeng is really dead." Muyin's hand that was holding Yun Ruhan's pulse suddenly trembled, and the pain in her eyes could no longer be concealed. Her lips trembled and she wanted to speak, but her throat seemed to be stuck and she couldn't make a sound. She wanted to refute Yun Ruhan's words, but her fingers held the pulse for so long, but she couldn't feel a trace of pulse. She poured out all her divine sense, trying to explore Yun Ruhan's divine soul. But she tried her best, but she could only capture a fragmented and dissipating remnant soul. Her rationality was telling her that there was no hope. Even if she is a godly doctor, even if she has the Tian Emochin, even if she has the skills of a Shun musician, in the end, she cannot bring the dead back to life. But why? Why was it that she could save everyone in the world and give life to those who were doomed to die, but she could not save her eldest brother? Hot tears rolled down her cheeks without warning. Mayan grits her teeth and takes out the Tianimo Chin. I don't believe it. I don't believe I can't save him. Little junior sister, cough, cough. Right now, there are problems both inside and outside. For a dead person like me, don't tell me you all of you are going to die here. Enough. Luo Yu could no longer hold it in and rushed forward, crying her heart out. Eldest senior brother, I won't allow you to die. I don't want you to die. Didn't you say that you would always be with little Seven? Didn't we agree that the Xiao Yao Seven would advance and retreat together and never abandon each other? How can you go back on your word? As Luo Yu cried, she clutched Yin Ruhan's hand tightly. Sixth senior sister, didn't eldest senior brother say that he didn't have a body? Why don't you give him my body? Without flesh and blood, I'll give him my flesh and blood. Without a divine soul, I'll give him my 3 souls and 7 spirits. Chapter 2872. Sixth sister, you've always been so powerful. There's never been any difficulty that could stump you. I beg you, tell me, you can save eldest senior brother. Tell me. The people of the Xiao Yao sect have always been people who would rather bleed than shed tears. But now almost everyone's cheeks are streaming with tears. Qin Zhou's expression is still a little silly, as if he doesn't understand what's going on. But when he saw everyone crying, his tears rolled down his cheeks. He kneels in front of Yin Ruhan, pats his chest, and says to Mayan, Junior sister, if you want blood, if you want flesh, use mine. Xiao Qi is too thin. Not good. Use mine. Save eldest senior brother. He shouts for a long time, but seeing that everyone is just crying and ignoring him, he still pulls Ling Yusheng and Lung Yuma in confusion, and says with a stutter, Xiao Wu, Yuma, I'm sturdy. I have a lot of flesh. I really can. You guys, help me tell little junior sister. Tell her. Ling Yusheng can no longer support himself. He sits down on the ground, covers his face, and lets out a painful wail. If he could, he also wants to give his flesh to eldest senior brother, as long as eldest senior brother can live. Lung Yuma pulls out the red lotus soul stealing saber and fiercely slashes at the boulder in the distance. With a boom, flames soar to the sky, and the boulder shatters into pieces. Lung Yuma drops the saber, kneels in front of Mayan, grabs her hand, and weeps. Junior sister, can eldest senior brother not die? He not die. We are the Xiao Yao 7. If we don't have eldest senior brother, then what are we? 6 out of 7 is equivalent to having nothing, and they can no longer return to the past. Yin Ruhan's heart is as calm as still water, but at this moment, she can't help but feel pain in her heart. However, his body is already dead. Even his vision is a little blurry, not to mention tears. He can't even say a few words to comfort his junior brother and sister. Junior sister. Suddenly, a low, hoarse, and steady voice is heard. Mayan's gaze turns to Chumoli. This third senior brother of hers has a mysterious origin. His strength is a mystery, and his thoughts are hard to fathom. Mayan has never seen him cry, nor has she seen him truly laugh. Sometimes, she even suspected whether Chumoli was always wearing a mask and would never reveal his true feelings in front of others. However, at this very moment, she saw Chumoli slowly walking toward her while pushing his wheelchair. Compared to the other members of the Xiao Yao sect, he was calm and collected. There was not a single tear in the corner of his eyes. His every move was as smooth as flowing water, without any ripples. The current Chumoli was clearly no different from his usual self. However, as Mu Yin looks at the slowly approaching Chumoli, she feels as if she has touched the true heart of this third senior brother. Junior sister. Chumoli slowly raises his head and looks at Mayan. He enunciates each word as he asks. When the physical body that has been seized and reborn dies, the spiritual cultivation cannot continue to exist. Then, what if the devil cultivation? Mayan stares blankly. Then her pupils suddenly contract. Her hands were tightly clenched into fists, and chaotic thoughts whizzed through her mind. If the reborn body died, then the spirit cultivation could not continue to live. Then, what about the devil cultivation? Junior sister? What does third senior brother mean by this? He heard the anxious voices of the people of the Xiao Yao sect. However, these voices seemed to be very, very far away from Mayan. She walks towards Yin Ruhan step by step and slowly grabs his already cold and stiff hand. She mutters in a low voice, Su Iluan can live, Jiosha can live. Why can't you? Eldest senior brother. Chapter 2873. Yin Ruhan is startled. Others don't understand what Chu Moli and mine are saying, but he does. Junior sister, you can't cough. With his last breath, he wants to speak loudly, but his stiff Adam's apple can only make a broken and weak sound. How are you going to make me cultivate the devil, lead me to the demonic path? You will also be infected by the demonic aura, and from then on, you will not be tolerated by the cultivators of the world. That's even better. How? How could it be that simple to lead you to the demonic path? Your dantian and meridians, your divine soul will be corroded by the demonic aura. From then on, your righteous cultivation cannot advance. I will not allow it. Did you hear that? Immediately, get rid of this this idea. Third brother, if you dare to speak nonsense again, I won't let you off lightly. Chu Moli lowers his brows, not saying anything. Luo Yu suddenly comes to his senses. Sixth sister, what do you mean by that? What does it have to do with cultivating the devil? Could it be? He wipes the tears on his face, suppressing his wildly beating heart, and says word by word, could it be that letting eldest senior brother cultivate the devil can save him? Maya nods. It's highly possible. The cultivation system of the demon race is completely different from that of spirit cultivators. But Su Iluan's body is shattered, and he can still survive. Jiosha can still survive without a body. Luo Yu loudly says without hesitation, okay, we'll let eldest senior brother cultivate the devil. Sixth sister, tell us, how can we let eldest senior brother cultivate the devil? Leng Yumao, Ling Yuxing, and Qinzhou all come forward. There are still tears on their faces, but their eyes are shining with ecstasy. They simply can't hear the words, cultivating the devil is not tolerated by the world. No, perhaps they heard it, but they don't care at all. As long as they can save Yin Ruhan, as long as they can save their eldest senior brother. So what if they cultivate? So what if they cultivate to become an immortal? So what if they cultivate the devil? Junior sister, how can we help eldest senior brother cultivate the devil? Tell us. Don't bear everything alone. We are the Xiao Yao 7. If we want to be infected by the demonic aura, we will be infected together. Yin Ruhan, are you guys crazy? I cough. I don't agree. I definitely won't agree. Luo Yu slowly knelt down and grabbed Yin Ruhan's hand, sobbing. Eldest senior brother, when I was unconscious, I vaguely saw you leave Yun Jifeng's body, and I heard what you said. Big brother, you said that it was because of me that you possessed Yun Jifeng's body 12 years ago. So in 12 years, can you live on for me and for the Xiao Yao sect? No matter what it takes, no matter how hard it is, I just want you to live on. Big brother, I really can't live without you. Second hand, third hand, fourth hand, fifth hand. Finally, Mu Yin placed her hand on Yun Ruhan's chest and said in a hoarse voice, eldest senior brother, this is Xiao Qi, whom you protected all your life. You've protected the Xiao Yao sect for more than 10 years. Are you really willing to leave us? Yin Ruhan's murky gaze trembled. 2 streaks of bloody tears flowed down from his empty eye sockets. Believe me, Mayan enunciates each word. I swear in the name of the Shun musician successor, I swear in the name of everyone in Qincheng that the Xiao Yao 7 sons will surely walk out of the unclean abyss safe and sound. Chapter 2874. After saying that, without waiting for Yin Ruhan to answer, Mayan's finger presses on his Baihui point, and spiritual power suddenly rushes in. Yin Ruhan's eyes blurred, and she slowly closed them. Little junior sister, how can we make eldest senior brother turn into a demon? Let's help. As long as I can save eldest senior brother, I'll do anything. Mayan takes out the Tianamo Chin and sits down cross-legged. She slowly says, all of you sit around eldest senior brother. Concentrate and calm your breathing, relax your divine sense, and listen to my music. I will guide all of you into the abyssal state. This might be very dangerous. Without waiting for Mu Yin to finish speaking, the remaining 5 sat cross-legged around Yin Ruhan without hesitation. The sound of the zither rang out, lingering in the air as if it was weeping and complaining. The 5 of them were waiting for the arrival of the abyssal state, but their consciousness was becoming more and more blurry. His eyelids felt like they were filled with lead, and he couldn't open them no matter how hard he tried. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, they fell unconscious like Yin Ruhan. Only when Chu Moli's pitch-black eyes gazed deeply at the zither-playing girl did he slowly lose consciousness. Mayan slowly stops playing the zither. Her long eyelashes gently tremble, as if there are sparkling and translucent drops of water flowing and disappearing. I'm sorry, but it's enough for you to be contaminated by the devilish aura alone. Sleep well, and everything will be fine when you wake up. Mu Yin knows that if it weren't for the fact that her fellow apprentices trusted her and opened their divine souls to let her music invade them, she had no way of dragging all 5 of them into floating like a dream at once. However, the sin of inducing others to fall to the devil was equivalent to committing thousands upon thousands of massacres. It would be punished by the heavenly Tao, and one would be tainted by the demonic aura. The last time she entered the unclean abyss, Mu Yin discovered that she didn't seem to reject the devil Qi that much. Therefore, even if they were to be tainted by the demonic Qi, they might still have a chance of survival. But his fellow disciples were different. Once the demonic Qi invaded his body, his years of cultivation and hard work would all go to waste, and he would no longer be tolerated by the heavens and earth. Mu Yin absolutely cannot allow such a thing to happen. If she really had to take the risk to save eldest senior brother, then it would be enough for her to take the risk alone. Mu Yin didn't start the rescue immediately, but first woke Ning Jinxiu up. Demonis, what do you want to do? Let me go. As soon as Ning Jinxiu opened his eyes and saw the beautiful face close at hand, he immediately let out a scream of horror. Mu Yin transformed the 7 absolute sword into the size of a dagger and casually sent it forward. Whoosh! The blade of the sword slid across Ning Jinxiu's neck, cutting off a clump of his hair and drawing a thin wound on his neck. Mu Yin said faintly, I'm not in a good mood right now. If you cry out one more time, I guarantee that the next sword will pierce through your throat. Ning Jinxiu shuddered all over, his voice stuck in his throat. However, his eyes were filled with hatred and resentment. To think that he, the dignified Ning family patriarch, possessed an exalted status and was high and mighty. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? Jun Mayan, this slut, actually dared to treat him like this. When he was free, he would definitely make this bitch pay back 10-fold, 100-fold. Ning Jinxiu took a deep breath and calmed the surging anger in his heart. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. Their nostrils were filled with a rotten stench. Ning Jinxiu looked around, and the resentful expression on his face gradually turned into horror. Chapter 2875. This is the unclean abyss. You took me into the unclean abyss. No. I'm not a blasphemer. How can I enter the unclean abyss? I don't want to die. You want to get out of here alive? Mu Yin uses the 7 absolutes sword to lift his chin, then answer my question obediently. Ning Jinxiu, are you kidding me? This is the unclean abyss. There's no exit. There's no life. How can I get out of here alive? Oh, really? Is there really no exit in the unclean abyss? No life? Mu Yin plays with the 7 absolute sword in her hand and says slowly, then 20 years ago, how did Jun Xun get out of here alive? Ning Jinxio's pupils suddenly shrink. You, how do you know Jun Shiyuan? Suddenly, his voice stops, and his eyes fall on Mu Yan's face. The more he looks, the harder it is to conceal the shock in his eyes. You, what's your relationship with Jun Shiyuan? Mu Yan raises the seven absolute sword and gently pats Ning Jinxio's face. Now I'm asking you questions, not you asking me questions. Tell me, who was the person who took Ning Yinxin away 20 years ago? Where did Ning Yinxin and Jun Shiyuan go later? Ning Jinxio doesn't answer, still staring at Mu Yan's face. Suddenly, his eyes brighten and he screams loudly. You're that vile spawn. You're the vile spawn of Jun Shiyuan and Ning Yinxin. You're still alive. Mu Yan's face turns cold. With a turn of her hand, the seven absolutes sword turns into the Tian Mo Qin. She sneers faintly. I said, I'm pressed for time, and I don't have time to listen to your nonsense. Since you won't tell me when I ask nicely, then don't blame me for being rude. As soon as her voice falls, the sound of the zither moves, activating floating like a dream. A quarter of an hour later, Ning Jinxio is paralyzed on the ground like a corpse, his whole body twitching. His black hair has turned white, and snot and tears are flowing all over the ground. At this time, he doesn't have half of the Ning family's arrogance, only a humble tail wagging. I'll tell you everything. Please don't let me go back to the nightmare. Ning Yinxin, she's not from the cultivation land at all. She's from the main branch of the Ning family on the floating island. The person who took Ning Yinxin away 20 years ago was an immortal from the floating island. I don't know where they took Ning Yinxin, but I haven't seen her since then. Mine's heart sinks a little. Her mother had indeed been taken away, and it was very likely that she had been taken to the floating island. What about Jun Shiyuan? Ning Jinxio grinned. He seemed to want to cry, but he also seemed to want to laugh. Jun Shiyuan is dead. What did you say? Yes, and he must be dead. Back then, Jun Shiyuan was just a leaving Aperture Realm ant, and the one who was chasing after him was an immortal from the floating island. Although I didn't see Jun Shiyuan's corpse with my own eyes, he definitely didn't have a way to live. Moreover, if he doesn't die, that person hates him so much that he definitely won't let it go. Mayan's heart feels like it's being gripped tightly by something. The man who personally sewed children's clothes for her, was he really dead? However, in just a moment, she suddenly comes to her senses. Dead? What? If he was really dead, could he have arranged that fraudulent marriage for her? She was really confused because of her concern. Mayan says coldly, it was the immortal who killed Jun Shiyuan. Chapter 2876. Ning Jinxio was in a trance for a while. Then he laughed. Who is that person? Of course, it's Mr. Suicide Ning, Su, who hates Jun Shiyuan the most and swore to slaughter all the demons in the world. Mu Yin sucked in a breath of cold air, but in her heart, she faintly felt that it was indeed so. Ning Su's surname was also Ning, and he had a pair of eyes that were very similar to hers. From the moment they met, Ning Su showed a strange closeness to her, but he hated the demons and the surname Jun. What's the relationship between Ning Su and Ning Yinxin? Ning Jinxio shook his head. I don't know. I only saw that he was very good to Ning Yinxin, but he hated the demons and Jun Shiyuan the most among all the people from the floating island. I've said everything I can say. Miss June, Lord June, Lady June, I beg you, let me go. Let me live in the unclean abyss. Live out of here. Mu Yin showed a sarcastic smile. You want to get out of here alive, but have you ever thought about how many innocent cultivators you threw in here? They also want to get out of here alive. Have you ever given them a chance to live? The poison of Godkill, which slowly invaded Ning Jinxio's body. His body began to twitch and spasm, and purple-blue scars gradually appeared on his face. No, I don't want to die. I'm not a blasphemer. Let me out of here. Bitch, if you dare to kill me, the Ning family will not let you go. The whole northern land will not let you go. Boo-hoo. I was wrong. I could do anything you want. Please don't let me become a living corpse. Crack. Crack! Ning Jinxiu's eyes gradually turned white, and saliva flowed from the corner of his mouth. Because of the damage he received in Life is a Dream, his cultivation and resistance weakened. So God Kill, which began to corrode his body, turning him into a corpse. In less than 10 minutes, he would be like the villagers of Yuanwu village and the millions of blasphemers that were abandoned here. He would slowly lose his mind, and only his instinct to devour and survive would remain until his entire body rotted away and he died. Mu Yin ignored Ning Jinxiu and turned to the unconscious Yun Ruhan. As she walked, she wondered, "Qi Huang, why didn't you say anything this time?" Usually, if she risked her life for others, Qi Xiaowang was hopping mad. But this time, from the moment she had decided to make Yun Ruhan fall into depravity, Qi Huang had been as quiet as a chicken, not saying a single word. This situation was too strange. Humph! It's just turning into a demon. What's the big deal? In the Tian Mo Qin space, Qi Huang is concentrating on playing the spirit-peering chess. Little Ling Hua and Little Phoenix are rolling around him. Occasionally, when they accidentally bumped into one of his chess pieces, he would catch them and beat them up. Hearing Mayan's question, Qi Huang impatiently waves his hand. "If you don't even have this ability, are you worthy to be the Shun musician's successor? Are you worthy to be the master of the Tian Mo Qin?" Mu Yin, she held her forehead helplessly, then couldn't help but laugh out loud. This brat. However, the sorrow in his heart was diluted by a lot because of this. She glances at her fellow apprentices lying on the ground, slowly clenches the Tian Mo Qin in her hands, and then relaxes. That's right, it's just luring people into becoming devils. She will definitely succeed. However, Mayan didn't notice. When she withdrew her divine sense from the Tian Mo Qin space, Qi Huang fell to the grass, his body curled into a ball. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.